bad bet.
So with that said, good luck and enjoy the Super Bowl between the Lions and the Chiefs, everybody. As Carlin and I so definitively urinate on the 3 seeds.
I can't think of a better way than to wrap up a golden week of radio. And it's unfortunate that I used the word golden there, but there we are.
That's perfect, actually. Not
here we are.
It's perfect.
Can't wait for Sunday. Enjoy it.
Go Seminoles or Tar Heels.
Take your new year to the next level with live experiences from Vivid Seats. Score tickets for all basketball, hockey, and pro football games. Plus, with a 100% buyer guarantee, Vivid Seats always has your back. See every buzzer beater, touchdown, and shootout live and in person with great deals on great seats. Plus, with Vivid Seats rewards, you can earn with every purchase, like surprise seat upgrades, birthday discounts, free tickets, and more. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
You're gonna feel a puff of air.
Jong's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? Sorry, we're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Where are the dilation drops?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Koala, Koala, Koala Insulation.
Hey, this is Bruce.
And I'm Carrie.
We're the owners of Koala Insulation.
Are you feeling that cold floor under your feet or those drafty rooms? Does your heat turn on and off all day long just to try to keep that home comfortable? It might be your insulation.
Give us a call and set up your free evaluation at 679-6282 or find us online at koalainsulation.com.
Men, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE? The medical providers at Prime Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. 98% of men see instant results on their first office visit. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Prime Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Men are even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
But that's not all. For a limited time only, call Prime Men's Medical Center now, and your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 904-664-8221. 904-664-8221. That's 904-664-8221.
Do you know a child who is deaf, hard of hearing, blind, or visually impaired? The Florida School for the Deaf and Blind in St. Augustine offers a tuition-free educational program to prepare the child for a lifetime of success. FSDB offers free comprehensive education, transportation, and boarding services at no cost to all eligible deaf or blind students, elementary through high school, no matter where the student lives in Florida. Call 800-344-3737 or log on to www.fsdbk12.org to learn more.
You probably have a list of New Year's resolutions for 2024. Well, right now you can make that decision to get lasting relief from that awful joint pain for the rest of the year. Put that on the resolution list. Don't go another year compromising because of that pain in your knees or shoulder. Call QC Kinetics right now. Get a free consultation, 904-274-5522, because QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative, non-surgical pain relief. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue, and QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. The future of pain treatments has arrived, and QC Kinetics has tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with back pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, any pain associated with arthritis or even injury. This is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary
Live from the Anajar and Levine studios, Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Huge boost for the AFC's top-seeded Ravens. Tight end Mark Andrews out the last 7 games with an ankle injury, activated off injured reserve. So quarterback Lamar Jackson gets back his favorite target for Sunday's AFC title game against the Chiefs. Unsportsmanlike co-host Chris Canty.
He allows the Ravens offense to be more multiple in terms of their personnel groupings. If you've got Mark Andrews, now you can go out there and play that 12 personnel, not lose a lot in terms of the run game and being able to maul at the line of scrimmage, but also have a guy that could be a matchup problem when the Kansas City Chiefs try to match your big personnel with base people on the field.
Since being drafted in the third round in 2018, Andrews ranks in the top 3 in the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdown catches. 49ers receiver Deebo Samuel remains uncertain against Detroit NFC Championship game Sunday. He returned to practice yesterday, took part in a limited basis after missing Wednesday because of that shoulder injury. NBA Mavericks ruled guard Kyrie Irving out versus the Hawks tonight with a sprained thumb. Atlanta guard Trae Young listed as questionable. He's missed the last 2 games while in concussion protocol.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Canty. Coming up Monday, we'll react to the conference championship games and get you ready for the Super Bowl. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Shacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! It really hit me.
Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Kasey Kuhrts. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
I thought there was a chance we had some closure yesterday. And then I thought more about it after the show. And then you see everything else. And then today. And there's no closure in the mess that is the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. The latest Josh Allen's camp, apparently. Not too happy with the "we are going to franchise tag you even if you don't want to negotiate" method of Trent Baalke.
I mean, what was their expectation?
Nobody listened.
That they called first over the last couple of weeks.
No, I get like giving a courtesy to the guy that you want to be on the best foot with. I get that part. But if you're Josh Allen in Josh Allen's camp, if you don't, like, what was the expectation? You know the Jags aren't letting you walk. Not after 17 and a half sacks.
Yeah, I think this has nothing to do with that. I think they understand that. I think we all could say, hey, franchise tag, it happened with Evan Ingram. They got a deal done. There's no doubt everybody wants to work, all that stuff. I think this is seriously just a relationship thing. And this goes back to what I was talking about. I went back and looked. I think it was Wednesday's show. We started with it in the first half hour. And I told you guys, I think I basically said Trent Baalke to save the day tomorrow in terms of perception for the Jacksonville Jaguars on some big issues that are on the horizon. Not specifically on those issues, but perception around the organization as you get to these issues, like the big stadium deal, like a possible deal with Josh Allen, a possible deal with Trevor Lawrence on the horizon. I don't know how much it matters that Twitter and everybody else is like, what the heck's going on to those negotiations. I do think perception and feel good has this almost subconscious when you're working on deals of this nature. I think the same way it could be said for when you're trying to build momentum for season tickets or whatever else. There's a feel good or a feel bad. Right?
Yeah.
Or I don't feel anything, which is really what you don't want.
It's also a feel bad.
But I don't think with these kind of situations that's great if you have that. And the problem right now, and I thought about this more with the Trent Baalke stuff, and I had somebody tell me today, and I thought this was interesting because you guys weren't in the room. You guys listened to it. And there was a person that was in the room that told me in the room it didn't feel like, it felt like, okay, hey, some answers are being delivered, all the things like we were talking about. And I said, but if you sit back and watch it from your office, from home, from wherever else, or listen, it came off almost different. And I think that's where a lot of this was. He's just throwing shade on the coaching staff, right? Throwing shade on. I don't know if it felt as resounding as it did in the room versus outside the room, that he was just throwing people under the bus. But as you more and more listen to the comments that we played yesterday on the show, you're like, okay, well, that wasn't too favorable for the staff. And as we were saying on the show, hey, how about you guys take a little accountability? Like the scouting staff could have done a better job here or there. So when you look at this from a different lens sometimes, or maybe you let it simmer,
I come away with this today, not just on the Josh Allen front. I think what Trent Baalke has a big problem with in maybe his football career, but especially the last few years in Jacksonville, maybe what's going on right now, maybe what's going on with certain situations, but definitely the fan base angst toward him, I would say, is he has a relationship problem. And the world is about relationships. And I don't know how many great relationships he has around the National Football League. I'm sure he has some, but are they great? Is that one of the reasons why he couldn't make a trade and had to have 13 picks during the draft? That's definitely a relationship part of the business, because you better have guys you can call and they trust you to do business with them, and you've done business in the past. Doesn't mean you can't make a call, can't make a trade, but can you when you need it? And I wonder about that with Trent. How about inside the building? If there are people that are actively trying to sell out Baalke to people in the fan base or reporters or anybody else, how are the relationships in the building? And then you get to the point with the relationship with Doug. What is that like with the coaching staff based on what he said yesterday? How does Doug feel today when he watches that news conference back? Are they still in sync, in step? And then the last part that came out today is, okay, you love Josh. You said it. He likes being here. But all of a sudden, Josh's team ain't feeling so hot.
Yeah.
That's a relationship problem. You had 2 weeks to figure that out, to make a call and be like, hey, when do you want to start doing this? What are you thinking? You want to get together? We'll fly up and see you. You want to fly down here? We'll take you to TPC Sawgrass. Like, where do you want to do this? We want to get it done. You want to get it done. Let's find the best way to get it done. I don't know when the calendar says you have to do that, but it does feel like if you're talking 18 days later and you still haven't made that call after this guy just had 17 and a half sacks in a season, that feels like a rocky relationship that you might already be setting in motion, or at least you can get ahead of that and avoid. And there's not a big surprise to me that the Jags, or at least Baalke in this, it's really the Baalke, in my opinion, they didn't get ahead of any of this. They waited 18 days for all this to simmer, where even in the Josh Allen thing, I tweeted this today, if you go have this media session on Wednesday after the season, the Josh Allen thing isn't a thing. Because people are like, well, yeah, they just got done with the season. He'll call him tomorrow. You've had 18 days to call his representation.
Would his representation be upset about it?
If you did it on Wednesday or Thursday after?
And he said the same comments?
No, I don't think so.
Without speaking to them yet?
I don't think so.
Because I don't think they have a right to be upset now.
2 weeks later?
Yeah. Because here's the other part.
It's priority number one maybe for this football team.
I get it, but
what have you been doing for 2 weeks?
Had Trent not been pressured to talk, we all believe that he wouldn't have had the press conference, right?
Well, that's fair.
So if that's the case, the negotiations just wouldn't have started. Would Josh's camp have been mad if 20 days after the season ended, minus the press conference, negotiation had it started? I don't think they would have. I've never heard that from any other player or camp before. It just seems random, but makes sense now because he talked about it at the press conference, essentially putting Josh's fate out there without even discussing it with the player, which is probably what annoyed the player and the player's representation. But the press conference almost didn't happen. So, like, had he not been in front of the microphone, it wouldn't have even been an issue, yet the same situation would have been occurring. To me, it feels like a little bit manufactured.
I don't know, Casey, because, like, I'm listening to Aaron talk, and I get it. Okay, maybe it wasn't, like, for 2 weeks planned, and you got to get set all this emotion. Then don't answer it the way you answered it. I mean, he basically said, we're using the franchise tag on you without even saying any of that to his representation. So don't say it in the press conference.
Yeah, I told you yesterday, I didn't love the way that part of that sounded because of that part. And that was we didn't know where they stood with Josh Allen. Now we kind of know where they stand with Josh Allen. It's not necessarily a good spot. So now I hate it even more. What happened? Like, it's encouraging, right? But again, this is now a thing that it has to make you think back to how some of this other stuff has been handled in Jacksonville at this position, nonetheless.
Yeah, and it wasn't all under him in that sense, but
no, I get that, but like there's a lot of guys in there that weren't on the Jags in 2012 and they sucked. Like this isn't a
it's a new
humans
thing.
In the building. This is a Jags. If you work in there, this kind of stuff happens apparently.
Yeah, and I think it goes deeper than that. Like I said this yesterday. I brought up 2021 with Urban, where there was a part of that time frame where there was no defense or protection for the organization. They didn't have anybody to speak for them. There was no reason to come out against like everybody doing the clown movement or whatever else. But there was just no defense. I mean, you might as well just put one big shield around Everbank Stadium because everybody was throwing stuff. And I kind of feel that way on a smaller level, not about the organization right now, but about Trent. Because I go back to relationships. Like, who's getting information from Trent in the building, outside the building, that they believe, that they trust, that, okay, this is what's really going on, right? And there's really just not a lot of that. There's not a lot coming out of there from Trent's side that I can detect. Maybe there's more than I'm seeing. But, again, this goes back to me. Relationship's a big word that I just got stuck in my head today because I think a lot of this leads that way. And the problem for the Jacksonville Jaguars when it comes to this is I actually think they've got a lot of good people in their organization that have good relationships with a lot of people, a lot of players, a lot of people around the league, a lot of other things. But Trent in this organization is a very high figure. And so when that guy doesn't have them or it doesn't appear like he has them, that becomes problematic. At the end of the day, the Josh Allen stuff, we're going to talk about it today, it's not going to stop a deal from getting done. Money talks at the end of the day.
Sure does.
And you've got to want to dance. I don't think this is going to all of a sudden send Josh into, I'm not playing for the Jags ever again. I can't believe you didn't call in the last 2 weeks. But I also understand why representation for a player would be like, what the hell? You just publicly put the franchise tag on our guy, and you haven't even called to say, let's do coffee.
Yeah.
That makes some sense to me why you'd be a little miffed. And by the way, they went running right to the national folks and said, well, here's how we feel about it.
Did they go running or did the national folks go running to them?
Pro Football Talk likes to dial some things up, but I got a feeling they went running.
Okay.
I got a feeling they went, oh, yeah? You say that? Well, there's how we feel. Because who was going to ask? I mean, the next time we were going to ask anything about Josh is next week at the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is a Josh thing. I think this is a team camp. A camp thing.
Sure.
His agent is but that's their job. Like, that's cool.
Here's what I don't understand. I didn't understand it with Evan. I didn't understand it with Cam. I don't understand it with the Josh Allen situation. And it happens so often. It happened with Lamar. It happens so often.
Yeah.
Why do we need to get to the point where you're throwing a franchise tag on people if you're getting the deal done?
Yeah, because it's just leverage, man.
Get the deal done.
I know. I agree with you. And it's easier to get the deal done more than ever. You've got all the data. Mm-hmm. You've got all the contracts in front of you.
Cap flexibility, whether you have cap or not.
I mean, there's really like, okay, it's going to be boom, boom, boom. But you've done this. You've been in the business a long time, or anybody who's been in business. People wait until the end.
They really do. They need
leverage.
the deadline so that they can start pushing people up against the wall. But, like, I get waiting until your Trent mentioned conversations that the front office will be having with the coaching staff about players on the roster and decisions need to be made moving forward. I get having those conversations before you start throwing out negotiation offers to Josh Allen. But if you know you're bringing Josh back, what does it matter who else is on the roster? You know you're bringing him back. You're going to have to start the discussion anyway. You're not finishing the discussion in 2 days. Start it now.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Listen, I don't understand we're not doing anything in the season stuff where people say, I get it involving the player. But you can reach out to their agent in December and be like, hey, Josh is killing it, man. This is awesome. We hope he gets 6 more sacks and we got to pay him a boatload more money. Can't wait to do business with you here after the season. Like, what are you relinquishing there? That's called building relationships. There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. And it doesn't sound like there's any of that, but there is kind of this belief in professional sports, I think, that I don't think that's just a Jags thing, that you can't do that. It sounds like Baltimore and Lamar Jackson got splintered along the way in that talk, too.
I do think there's a difference between trying your hardest to have the leverage in a negotiation and being a person who's good at relationships. Because
that's a balance.
One, you think you're a chess player, but it doesn't. The relationships thing doesn't come natural to everybody. I'm terrible at it.
Well, that's my point on Baalke. I don't think he's not this warm, fuzzy guy. He's a football dude that's like tunnel vision, and this is the way we do it, and that's what he does. But that's also the guy that's making decisions, like these kind of decisions. This is why I keep coming back to this, guys. And I know this seems Armageddon-esque. Don't make these damn missteps with Trevor. Don't do it. Or Kasey might get his wish where Trevor becomes the first quarterback to just say, screw it, I'm testing free agency.
Well, I didn't say it like that, but, you know.
You wanted Joe Burrow to do it, I know.
I wanted somebody to do it. I didn't say the quarterback of the damn Jags. Somebody else.
I'm telling you.
Kyler Murray, go ahead.
I've been saying it's important how you do business, especially when you're asking guys to do what they do. Because guys like Josh Allen and specifically Trevor Lawrence are bigger than just football players in the city for your franchise and everything else. You have asked them to do a lot more than that. And I believe you want to pay these guys and have them be a part of it. It's not your money, Trent. It's Shad's. I think if you ask Shad, I've said this for the last couple of months several times, I think Shad can't wait to give that check to Trevor Lawrence. I think he admires the young man. He already appreciates what he's done, get him 2 winning seasons, what he shows on the field, what he represents for the organization, all those things. I think he would give him the check tomorrow. He also understands business, all that stuff. I get this sense sometimes with Trent or the organization, like, yeah, we're not sure we really want to pay him. Like, that's what I got a sense of early in that press conference.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing here? That was almost... I'm telling you, if he didn't answer the question at the end of the news conference, to me, that was a way bigger story than this Josh story. And I just think how you do it, but it does come back to relationships. And right now, I think we have a figurehead in this Jags organization that is obviously tasked with building a roster, trying to get winning football, and has done some good things. And I'm not going to deny that. I know you guys don't like me to say that because you're like, he can't do anything good. Like, that's not true. That's not true. They've done some good things. And I've also heard this for years about Trent. Like, he's a pretty good football guy. But I've also heard this part. The relationship part is not the strong suit. And I think it's showing up. And especially shows up when you lose 5 out of 6 games.
How necessary is relationships for Trent Baalke?
I think it's massive. I think it's massive for feel in the organization. I think it's massive for how he relates to Shad and Doug. I think it's massive for how he relates to everybody outside that he communicates with. Like, I think that's a big part of what these guys do.
Wouldn't you think his relationship with Shad is beyond good, seeing as how he's lasted through some pretty intense scrutiny?
I would say, but I don't know what his relationship with Shad is now compared to, like, before the year. Listen, Shad at the end of the day, I mean, he's a business guy, and he loved Gus Bradley.
Until he didn't.
Until he blamed Gus Bradley for it all.
And okay.
Same with Tom Coughlin.
I'm just sitting here wondering, like, I get Doug Peterson needs to be a relationship guy. He's interacting with 90-some-odd players on a daily basis or whatever have you. People in the franchise, in the front office, people within his coaching staff. Like, he's got a lot of relationships he actively has to manage. I struggle to figure out where Trent has to actively manage those relationships outside of the relationships with the representation of the players, which he's not beholden to be friendly with, but he is beholden to communicate with them. He really should be over-communicating with these guys on vision, plans, timeline, and all that stuff. And I think sometimes in an effort for leverage and negotiation, that gets toyed with a little bit.
I think he actually has the best relationships, and you guys might laugh at this. But my view is I think he has the best relationships in that building with the players themselves. Because the players don't look at it like we do from the outside or even their representation does all the time. I think the players look at it like, I'm trying to think of a specific player. Let's go, who they give a lot of money to?
Foley Fatukasi.
Okay. Foley Fatukasi is like, hey, what's up, Trent? You know, the guy brought me here and gave me $12 million a year.
Sure.
I love that guy.
You should.
But that's not Trent fostering a relationship. That's being on the good side of somebody.
No, but I'm just telling you, I think that's what you see. Like, that's what they see. And they probably see other things that we don't see that are like, hey, Trent's cool, like that, blah, 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 all this stuff. Listen, Trent is not the worst. I don't buy that he's the worst person to stand on this earth. Okay? I already did that a couple of years ago when everybody said he was.
Didn't work out well, yeah.
But I don't believe that.
Yeah, it ended up in a weird expose.
Yes, there's a lot of things that happened. But I don't believe that. And that it sounds like it sometimes because, especially this week, we're hammering him a lot.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a next level to that somewhere. Like, relationships do matter with people that aren't players in the building. Urban Meyer was awful at that.
I would say it almost matters more.
It creates such toxicity. For Trent, he needs to have good relationships with other GMs, other football people around the league, agents, all those things, because rumors spread, word spreads. It's a small league. That's a small circle.
But also
you need to do business with them.
The whole gig is negotiating with all of those people. So you do need to have good relationships with, like, I'm in with you on that.
Absolutely. But the biggest relationship that he needs to have that has come under question and is questioned again coming out of this news conference is with the head coach of the football team.
Yeah.
You cannot win a Super Bowl, in my opinion. You cannot get to the championship that you want to get to with that relationship not strong. Head coach and GM or football decision maker, whoever you want to label them. When you look at the San Francisco 49ers, does it look like Shanahan and Lynch are in lockstep? I feel like it.
I mean, the record shows it.
You know? And again, winning can hide a lot of things.
Sure.
Okay, I get that. But that's like right now in Philadelphia, Sirianni, Roseman, Lurie, looks a little
frictiony.
Little off, doesn't it? That's problematic. So that's what 8 teams around the league are trying to figure out right now. Who's our head coach? Who will work best with Jim Harbaugh? Who can get along for the next 3 years with Jim Harbaugh to get where we want to go?
Not many.
Antonio Pierce, we think Tom Telesco's the perfect fit. Are they right? We'll find out. Pete Carroll and whatever his name is in Seattle.
Schneider.
Never heard stuff. What's interesting one to me is the Green Bay situation with the guy with the name of the G.
Gunskist.
Right? And LaFleur.
Mm-hmm.
They took a bunch of heat in the early going of the Aaron Rodgers stuff. Like, what are you doing? You're losing this. Like, it's Aaron Rodgers. Why are you pissing him off?
Yeah.
Well, they got through that together. Both took bullets, by the way, along the way from Aaron Rodgers.
Pretty big ones.
And they got through it together, stayed the course, end up with love, end up with a young team, kind of rebuild it, and end up in the playoffs. Like, that's a great example of it. Looks like they're aligned. So when we talk about relationships, the most important one is his relationship with Doug. In this last couple of weeks, that's come under question. Yesterday, he said, there's no question. It's stronger than it's ever been. And then for the next 29 minutes, he threw the whole coaching staff under the bus. And I wish we got a chance to talk to Doug Peterson today, because you kind of wonder how he feels about the 30-minute news conference.
Well, we would really see how in lockstep that relationship
And maybe
is.
he doesn't care. Maybe he knew. Maybe it's like, hey, don't worry. You can say what you want. We'll put it on me.
Maybe he
I got the
buys
Lombardi trophy. Put it on me. I doubt he did that, but maybe he did. And maybe Trent was even very open with him, be like, hey, listen, I'm gonna tell it how it is. I just don't believe that's the way it went down, because he never took accountability for his own staff along the way. So, yeah, I think right now we have I think Trent's problem in the National Football League, and I'll give you more evidence of this, 5 coaches have lost their jobs while Trent was the GM in his 2 stops. Now, that's not all Trent. I mean, Urban Meyer lost a job because of Urban Meyer.
Sure.
Right? And probably some other ones. Jim Tomsula just wasn't very good, maybe, back in San Francisco. But that's not a great track record. So there's plenty of evidence here that the relationships could be splintered. The relationships aren't good enough. And then the latest one coming with representation for Josh Allen and the way this all shook out, which just showed more missteps. I mean, the Jags lost 5 out of 6 games to end the season, and they might be losing more in the last couple of weeks. Like, the slide hasn't stopped. And Trent Baalke, I think, is a big part of that, more than maybe Doug Peterson in the last couple of weeks. We keep talking about it. When we come back, Brent Friends on ESPN 690, 904-362-9901. Had some interesting conversations throughout the day, and there was one suggestion. I didn't think about it this way, but it's got something to do with what I said about Tony Baselli earlier this week. And I think when I had this conversation today, I was like, I think we're saying the same thing, but he brought something to light that I didn't really think about. And so I'll explain that whole mess when we come back on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly cloudy, warm, and even a little humid today with a few afternoon showers. Highs around 80 degrees. An evening shower tonight, then partly cloudy and dropping to near 60. A partly sunny, breezy, and warm Saturday. Tomorrow's highs reach the low 80s in the afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Join me today beginning at 5 p.m. on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed.
The January weather has been fluctuating, those temperatures dipping down in the evenings and mornings. Is your heating system safe to use? The team at Bold City Heating and Air specializes in system revitalization and optimizing your system so it runs safe and at peak efficiency. Schedule your winter system checkup for only $49 at boldcityac.com. Bold City Heating and Air can help you save hundreds of dollars on your energy bill, too. Get the checkup, save money, and make sure your AC unit is safe for all the weather conditions. Schedule online at boldcityac.com.
The Florida sun is burning bright and coastal waters are sparkling. You need a boat. Come to the Jacksonville Boat Show, January 26th, 27th, and 28th at the Prime Osborne Convention Center. Don't miss killer deals on boats and accessories, plus fishing seminars, kids events, music, and fun. The Jacksonville Boat Show, presented by ViStar Credit Union. Tickets at boatjacks.com. That's boatjacks.com. Buy a boat.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
Start the year with a new or used vehicle at Nimnick Buick GMC. New year, new truck. There are trucks, and then there's the truck, the GMC Sierra. I love mine, and you can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierra 1500s and enjoy rates as low as 0.9% APR financing. Try a Terrain or Acadia with rates as low as 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers. Used car? Well, try the Car Bravo program. Nimnick certifies all makes and models. NimnickBuickGMC.com or the showroom off Phillips Highway. GMC. We are professional grade.
Have you seen your financial freedom wiped out by stock market volatility? It's Rich Jones. Consider investing in real estate funds from DLP Capital. Don Wenner is CEO and founder.
DLP Capital has provided our investors with consistent double-digit returns by investing in cash-flowing residential real estate. For more than a decade, we have had zero losses, little volatility, and have shot above our return targets in all of our investment funds. Plus, we offer monthly distributions and tax shelter opportunities.
To get your investor's guide and learn more, dial *invest on your cell phone or visit highyieldreturns.net.
This year, I resolved to have a whole new view in life.
Nice. So what are we talking? New attitude? Maybe new glasses?
Nope. New windows and doors from American Window Products.
New view. I see what you did there.
They're Jacksonville's oldest family-owned replacement window and door company. Great prices, selection, professional installation. They look great, too. And you can save $250 off any entry door and free installation on 6 or more windows in January when you call 731-2247 or visit AmericanWindowProducts.com.
Thanks. I'll give them a look.
Perfect Rack Billiards has a deal for you. 50-cent Wing Fridays during lunch. Get out of work early. Get a head start on the weekend, or just take a lunch break, 11:30 until 3 p.m. on Fridays, every Friday. Perfect Rack Billiards with 50-cent wings for lunch on Fridays. A perfect place to stop in Murray Hill, play some pool, play some darts, maybe some shuffleboard. Now, that's a heck of a lunch break. And get those 50-cent wings on Friday just to make it better. 11:30 to 3 p.m. on Fridays at Perfect Rack Billiards. Hey, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jax. Did you know you can watch our radio show? Yeah, video of a radio show. Just search ESPN 690 Jax on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or follow me on Twitter at Brent A.S. Jax. Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690. Hope you're having a good week, everybody. What a week it is in Jacksonville. Whew. I think we'll talk about those championship games coming up.
That's wild. We're in the championship weekend in the NFL. We haven't even sniffed a game yet. It's been so busy.
What are you going to do?
Jags
We've
off
had
season.
some things to talk about. By the way, I watched the Australian Open until about 1:15 this morning.
Why?
I've watched more Australian Open.
What sport is that?
Tennis.
Oh.
Big upset.
I used to watch tennis as a kid all the time.
Yeah.
Big upset.
Casey, you ever watch tennis? Never into tennis?
No.
When we were kids, it was a little more mainstream, though. Wasn't it? Like, these guys were, like, on Adidas commercials and, like, all kinds of fast food commercials.
Yeah, well, I feel
Really?
like...
The tennis players?
Well, I feel like we had American stars.
Agassi was a straight-up celebrity.
Yeah.
Pete Sampras was pretty much. Jimmy Connors was kind of a celebrity. John McEnroe was a celebrity. Even guys like Bjorn Borg in, like, the 80s were celebrities.
Absolutely. I mean,
Guy Forget.
Michael Chang for a while.
Michael Chang for a little bit, sure. Andy Roddick was probably the last American tennis celebrity besides the Venus and Serena sisters.
I've heard of him.
But I loved it. So much so that I went and bought, Agassi was big. And I was like, I'm going to buy the racket, and I'm
Brooke
going to play
Shields
tennis.
was his wife. Everyone looked up to this guy.
Yeah, I mean, he was...
I know Brooke Shields.
He was fun. He was a fun guy
Yeah.
that played, and
You bought the racket?
No one knew he was
yeah,
balding.
like an Agassi racket. It was like $35, man. I mean, it's not like now. It's like you go buy the shoes and it's $180.
But that's what it was, the equivalent, yeah.
It's wild to me that you saw bro play tennis. Like, you know what? I'm going to go get his racket.
Well, it's the same thing as basketball shoes, man. I bought
Basketball's cool.
So was tennis
That's
in
what
the
we're
80s.
trying to say, though. Like,
I just have a hard time believing it is all.
No, I know. But again, a lot of that goes because of the American stars. There were American stars. We haven't had American stars. America is finally starting to get up there in the world rankings of men's tennis. There are now 4, I think, in the top 30, which gives us some hope. And Coco Gauff just lost in the semis, so she's an American women's star. Obviously, we've had that with Serena and Venus, but there's so much dominated by the international players that Federer and Djokovic, you can appreciate their greatness and Nadal, but it's still not like the American tennis star getting the kid to be like, I want to be like him.
I also think it comes in waves, because if you think back to then, like, football was goofy to be a fan of. NFL football did not have a huge following in
not
the 80s.
even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. But I would say, I don't know about goofy, because my favorite show on TV was like, I think they called it NFL Live, right?
Yeah.
Leading into the games. The preview show, Bob Costas and stuff, and Will McDonough.
But I feel like hockey was a bigger sport nationally back then.
Might have been. I would have felt that more, too, because I was growing up in Rhode Island, so in New England, of course,
plus, like,
hockey
the
was
Miracle
bigger.
on Ice was relatively recent.
Yeah. I get you. I mean, it's nowhere near the growth of the NFL.
Astronomical.
In the last 30 years, in the last 10 years, in the last 5 years, unbelievable. But
to me, it just says that in another 20 years, like, baseball will be dominating and someone else is taking it back.
Yeah, maybe. I always thought lacrosse would be the next one.
Lacrosse
to take over, but I'm not so sure. I don't think it's as mainstream as I thought it was. A lot of people would like to see soccer that way. We'll see. NASCAR had its time in the early 2000s.
Brief period.
But I've been watching a lot of tennis. Like, Steph's been staying up late. Ty watches a lot of the tennis. And some of this stuff's on super late.
Family affair.
Y'all are staying up late to watch the Australian tennis?
No, yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I get home last night about midnight or 12:15. It's like the only thing on. You know what the other thing that I've been watching?
Sleep. The back of your eyelids.
No. You know else I've been watching like a ton of? The Game Show Network and Family Feud.
Oh, Family Feud.
It's unbelievable how much Family Feud I've watched in the last couple of weeks. And my appreciation for Steve Harvey continues to grow.
Yeah.
He's really amazing.
Talented guy.
He is really good.
Taught him
and you know,
everything I know.
I can't believe how raunchy like Family Feud has got. It is not like... The funny thing is the families look like they're out of 1980s and 90s still. Like, we're in the, just like these cute little families.
Yeah.
Like, I won't say anything else, but you get it. Like a Little House on the Prairie-esque kind of feel. But the topics and everything else, it's like, I can't wait to see this lady answer this.
Oh, yeah.
But I've been watching so much Family Feud that Steph, when I left yesterday, come back to the station, Steph texted me, and she's like, the first lady just got 194 points on the final part by herself.
Wow.
You got to get to 200 to win the 20,000.
Yeah. She basically got the top answer for everything.
Everything. It's like, that's impressive. 194. Wow. So there you go. Australian Open and Family Feud. That's how I've been countering my Trent Baalke thoughts.
No more of this toxic negativity for Brent.
We thought we were going to be in an AFC championship game, and I'm at home watching Family Feud. It is weird. Really, maybe some of these shows will catch on after the Super Bowl, right?
Maybe.
I hope. I need something different.
I think they're all coming back now that
Maybe I'm just getting old.
Maybe the strike is over. I think a lot more TV shows are coming.
There's one other note about the game shows. I think we've maybe said this before. It's amazing how much the money isn't going up with the times.
That is interesting.
Like
I remember
20,000 is nothing.
Not much for a game show. I remember when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire came out, and that felt big.
Oh, yeah.
but that was 20 years ago here.
Yeah.
Like it was even longer than that in the UK. So I don't know, $1 million back then is a big deal, but if you do the inflation calculator, it's probably like 5 times smaller in terms of value now.
Yeah, like I was telling you guys about that one. You go in the cage and you grab all the stuff, and the
Yeah.
stuff they come out with, it's like $28,000 worth of stuff. It's like I know this is like a fun game, but you're certainly not like changing your life with whatever you get out of there.
But game shows are fun, especially
They
for
are
the people at home with no money on the line anyway. It's just a fun way to be competitive.
What game show would Trent Baalke be good at?
Ooh.
Survivor?
Win, lose, or draft some more.
He's a survivor.
Survivor is a good one.
I was talking to somebody today, not within the organization, by the way. And they brought up a very interesting point before. Like, they hadn't even heard about, should have been listening to the show, but they hadn't heard. Remember the other day I brought up Tony Baselli?
Yeah.
And we
like
had this whole conversation.
A go-between Schad and the front office.
A football pulse, but the part of the reason is this was when I was doing this deep dive into the Lions and the Jags and the Chris Spielmans of the world, or even the Campbells of the world. They know the organization. They feel the organization. They feel what you feel, and you lose 5 out of 6. Not just from a competitive standpoint, but from like a gut punch, Monday, Tuesday, and Jacksonville is going to suck kind of punch. And I just think I don't think if you haven't been around here, you can fully appreciate that. And it's not the fault of the people that are in place. But I think having that as like almost the DNA of your organization would be valuable. I think it's valuable in Detroit. I think it's part of what's going on in Detroit. I think they feel that. They're all one. I think a guy like Tony Baselli, in my opinion, would be great. He knows football. He doesn't have to make the football decisions, but he can be the liaison about stuff like, hey, I think we got a mole in here, Shad. Like, people are painting a picture out there that isn't true. I don't see that in here. Or I do see that in here. But, like, an interpretation of what's going on, but always with the idea that all I care about is that Lombardi Trophy coming to Jacksonville. And I appreciate everybody that walks in this building in Jacksonville says, I want to win a Lombardi Trophy for Jacksonville, for Duval. I get it. I believe it. But a guy like Tony Baselli would feel it, believe it differently. It was my whole point. Well, when I was having this conversation today, it got brought up without that background that we need somebody in Jacksonville that actually can talk to the fans. Like, they were talking more from a podium point of view. Trent ain't that guy. Like, he is just not going to come across warm and fuzzy to the fan base. Shad doesn't talk. Obviously, Tony doesn't talk about the team. Tony Khan.
Yeah.
Doug talks, but it's from a head coaching, that's a different lens. And it struck me because I was like, well, I think we're kind of saying the same thing in a different way, but that's a different element. Like, almost like the fans want to hear, tell us what's going on for real. And in this situation, it was like, it was almost, and he brought this up, it's like the I promise speech from Tim Tebow. Like, this won't happen again, and we're going to win every game, blah, 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 blah. You know, that galvanized Gator fans, and everybody else might make fun of it a little bit. But the bottom line is, if you're on that team, you loved it. If you root for the Gators, you loved it, and it kind of paid off. And so the point was, who's standing up there saying, this has never happened in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We lost 5 out of 6 games, and it will never happen again on my watch. This will never happen again in Jacksonville.
I mean, the head coach is supposed to say that.
Who said it? But who has come out and said it?
Well, that doesn't mean you need to hire a brand new position for someone to say it.
I get it. But I think a guy like Baselli in the situation that I pointed to, if he's under there being like, this ain't acceptable. We are going to find out why we lost these final 5 out of 6, what happened here, and this will never happen again.
It just sounds like you want a different GM.
I don't think so, because I don't want Tony Baselli picking the players. I really don't. Sorry, Tony. That's not the role I want.
Okay, so maybe the new GM isn't Tony, but you want a GM who's going to come out and say these things if you don't want the coach.
You want someone that'll, like, pound the pavement for the team, which, in fairness, I feel like the coach should do.
I think the only guy that comes close to doing this for the team is, like, Trevor. But the reason I think that way is because of 2021, I think. Because he was the only guy that gave you hope in 2021 every time he talked that, don't worry, we'll figure this out. And I think the person I was talking to today was kind of saying that. Like, hey, tell us it's going to be all right, and this is never going to, like, tell us this hurts you as much as it hurts us. I kind of get it.
Yeah, it might not.
Well, I don't think it does.
Yeah.
That's my point. That's like the point of the week in that. And I'm not saying it has to be good at that job, but it would be nice to hear from somebody in the organization that is freaking pissed off. Have we heard from anybody that's really pissed off after losing 5 out of 6?
I mean, you may have. They just didn't sound pissed off. Like, no one sounded livid. No one sounded beside themselves.
We could use that, though. Well, I'm upset press conference. Because we haven't got that.
That's what I'm saying. But see, I'll go back to, and I know there's some redundancy here, but this is what I believe. This isn't like I'm just not making this stuff up, telling you in front of a microphone. I've thought a lot about this stuff. And I really believe this 18-day window between coach talking or you losing, coach talking, and Trent talking is a big deal here. Like a bigger deal than anybody else wants to let on.
Especially in the face of the collapse.
That's what I mean. And that's why, this is where I think Shad made a mistake. Shad should have demanded that Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson go out there on Wednesday and say, what the hell just happened? You tell our season ticket holders that just laid it all on the line these last couple of years that we're going to go try to sell a stadium to, that this is not acceptable. We take ownership for it. We're going to figure it out. We're just as mad as you.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Would have been good. Would have felt good. Would have felt like they cared. I don't know if they care.
I believe they care.
Yeah, that's where it goes over the top. But, Casey, that's where you also get that thought. Like, I know why that thought, that sentiment enters your
So it's a rational connection of the dots, for sure.
No, they care about themselves and their well-being. I get that. But do they care about the Jaguars, to the whole point you've been arguing about?
Yeah, I buy that they care about the team, but I get people going, prove it. I don't see it. Because you don't. You're right.
I'm trying to think if you go back to, like, that's 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks and change. If you go back to that, you're still listen, this place is still pissed off 2 weeks later. That's why some of the angst. That was not cool. Like what happened, 5 out of 6 losses, where they were, where you thought they were going, the excitement, the energy. This team has been through a lot of bad stuff, and that had never even happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think the anger is because no one talked. Like, the city was stunned, and then we're all looking at the team. Team's like, hold on, we're going to take this quick vacation.
Yeah, the only thing they did to appease the fan base was fire Mike Caldwell and his staff.
And by the way,
but didn't talk about it.
Yeah, they did it in a way where they didn't have to, like, even mention it was happening or why or when or how or what's next. It felt kind of a shortcut.
Yeah, I agree. It's not good, Brent.
Yeah, and listen, I'm a big Doug fan. I'm not going to come off that.
Remember when you got that sign?
I did. Thank you, Doug. We still have that.
We do.
Yeah.
To give that to Doug.
I know. I didn't think he really wanted it in his garage, but maybe he might need it now.
Maybe he needs it now.
Like a hug. Yeah.
Maybe it depends how many garage doors he's got on that garage.
So
probably few.
Like
Brent's got 2. He's got 4.
Listen, I think Doug, as much as I really like Doug, as much as I say about Doug in a positive way, I think that was kind of cutting the corners on that Monday. Like to sit there and have your end of the year presser and then 2 hours later fire the guy.
There should be,
however the mechanics of that worked, to not talk, because I've told you guys right after that happened. Sorry to cut you off. I told you this. Now he's not going to have to talk about it until the combine.
Yeah, months. Yeah.
Bro got lucky.
There should be no personnel changes without an immediate press conference, statement, Q&A, whatever.
Yeah.
You can't fire an offensive or defensive coordinator and then pretend like it didn't happen.
That I agree with. But like if it's the second offensive line coach or whoever, assistant to the offensive line coach, that's a different story.
I mean, you want to negotiate it, then fine. I'll go with you on it.
No, I'm with you on a coordinator.
But I don't think you should be, if I'm an owner, if I owned my own football team, that would be the rule. No personnel changes without the press conference afterwards. Because you are accountable to the people paying us money. Like, I'm paying you money, you're accountable to me, I'm accountable to them. I'm trying to get a $500 million loan or not even a loan, a grant from the city. I'm trying to get a stadium built. I'm trying to sell season tickets and jerseys and concessions and parking passes and all kinds of stuff. And we're sitting here looking at the fan base going, don't worry about it, see you in a few months.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Yeah. And so that's what I think. I think there's been a lot of mistakes in these last couple of weeks. And I put it mostly on Trent. I think could have talked earlier if he wanted to talk earlier, all that stuff. He can make that call. Not too many people are going to tell him. But the one guy that can tell him, the one guy that could have said.
Two guys.
Yeah, Schott and Tony. So they could have said, listen, this is bull.
Yeah.
Like, this can not happen. I mean, and I know Schott's not going to talk. He's not going to be the guy to get out there. He said that.
He shouldn't have to be.
Well, he can. I mean, Jerry Jones does. Like, it's different.
But Jerry's an everyday participant in that organization.
But there have been some owners that did talk after. Like, there wasn't just one. There were some owners, and I'm not even on Schott about that. He doesn't talk a lot. That's kind of the MO. But I think there could have been a, hey, you got to go talk to our people and tell folks that this is never happening again. We're going to figure out what went wrong. Yeah, we had injuries, but that's not a good enough excuse. We cannot collapse like that, and we're going to fix it. And don't worry, we're going in the right direction. We still believe in what we're doing. We got to make a few adjustments. Like, this is not that hard.
So then what happened? They weren't paying enough attention? Like, because there's not a lot of explanations here. If you weren't paying enough attention to notice what happened, clearly Schott saw them lose all the games. So
I think it's a misread.
From Schott. Well, and from everybody.
From people that can influence that from Schott, or even if it's not just Schott. It's like you can have people suggesting these things in crisis meetings, whatever, like after the season. I don't know. It's a bad feel. I would say Trent should be able to feel this. I should say Trent and Doug, as leaders, like you just said, of this organization, they should be able to feel like, we got to tell these guys something. Like, this was bad. And I think Aaron just put it, it's kind of like, we just went on our merry way. Now, there was a couple of things in the middle of it. Was Trent really contemplating retirement?
It changes things.
Was he contemplating it for 18 days?
No, but I'm just saying in those days right after. Like those days right after. Maybe for a week or so. I don't know.
I mean, I do got to put the responsibility on Schott to push him out to the podium.
Well, if he's about to retire, you're not going to push him out there, maybe.
Well, then you go, all right, you got 5 days to figure it out.
Yeah, maybe do that.
Next Monday at the latest.
We're not going into the weekend without you talking to everybody.
Yeah. Anyway, somebody brought that up in a conversation today to me, and I was like, you know what? That's a good point. There is the only thing that has taken place since the end of the season when the Jags had this epic collapse is that players have talked a couple of times. Doug talked. But the only thing that really resonated is a firing of the defensive coordinator because people wanted blood. So at least they fired somebody. Well, then they fired like 10 people with them. But
they didn't talk about it.
But even that felt secondary. Where's the messaging? Where's the don't worry, we got you? Where's the I think there's some value to that. Well, I think this is a big company that is talking to people that they're they're constituents, if you will. I mean, the people that spend the money to pay, and I think that's really what a lot of Jacksonville, or at least the diehard fans, are thirsting for, Casey. Like, they want that explanation.
Yeah, I mean, they deserve it, but also you got to think, Brent, this organization has seen a lot of bad. You're granted that never happened, the collapse. But, like, I think back to when they kept Doug Marrone at the end of whichever season that was, that we all kind of thought that he might be let go. That statement came out immediately, and I get it. It's a different scenario. But this is an organization at the top that has seen a lot of bad and had to make a lot of tough decisions. So then to just muff this one is kind of wild.
Yeah, but they actually muffed that one back in 2019 because that took place. They issued a statement, and then when Schott did talk, he talked about there were so many things to hit on. Jalen had left. Jan wanted to leave contract-wise. They had 2 home games in London announced. That's really why he talked that day. Marrone and Caldwell coming back. Like, there was so much.
So maybe they're not good at this?
Well, I mean, I think people could be critical of maybe that's Schott's not here all the time. Like, people are critical of Schott not being here all the time. And so is that part of the pulse of that? I don't know. I don't know the mechanisms to do that. That ain't my job. That's not my job to figure that out.
That's fair.
My job is to say, you know what? In hindsight, I think he kind of messed this one up.
I think they did.
And it was a different tone than this fan base has been angry a lot of times. And I don't think, and I'm a big believer in, by the way, that you don't react to every tweet out there. if you're the Jags. I also think the Twitter base versus the whole base here in Jacksonville is a distinct difference. But I also think temperature. I'm telling you, I talked to some people in the last couple of weeks that I know aren't on Jags Twitter or Twitter, and they're saying a lot of the same things. They're still beat up about what happened at the end of the season. And I'm not trying to say sell them on, don't worry, it'll be okay. No. Show like this ain't ever happening again. I think that's a great way to do it. Or if it happens again, I don't even want to be here for it.
Well, good
I
news.
should be gone, right?
He's not going to be.
Yeah. So I thought it was a good point today, and there's just been some missteps here, I think. And I think Baalke is at the front of a lot of it. But I think in that case, in that point, maybe Shad should have forced these guys out there to do it. Because if you don't force somebody out there to do it, hey, Kasey, you want to go talk about something bad that just happened? No.
I'm good.
Right?
Gotta eat that frog.
Everybody's going to say no.
Let's send Aaron out there.
That's not a comfortable thing. You got to cut. Hey, get out there and do it.
Yeah, man of the year. We'll push Aaron out there.
Let's do it.
If he gets the title, he's got to talk. You know what I'm saying?
We'll be back on ESPN 690.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet. Now open in St. Augustine.
Here we grow again. Terry Norvell here from the Young and Norvell Show, announcing our new expanded hours as we are now on weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's right. You now have a standing lunch date with me and my broadcast partner, former Gators basketball star and current SEC network analyst Patrick Young, every weekday for 2 solid hours from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on ESPN 690. You supply the lunch. We provide the most compelling sports talk in town. Find out for yourself weekdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Catch the Young and Norvell Show on ESPN 690.
Bush Loaded, the greatest hits tour. August 29th, Daly's Place. With special guests, Jerry Cantrell and Candlebox. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Bush Loaded, the greatest hits tour. A great night of incredible rock.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com. Or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy. like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
Victim of a slip and fall? It takes one phone call to take back control of your life. Anajar and Levine will fight to get you the compensation you deserve. Call me, Mark Anajar, for a free consultation. 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
Main office, Jacksonville.
The Gun Show is back at the Maxwell Snyder Armory on Normandy Boulevard this Saturday and Sunday. Buy, sell, trade, and browse a huge selection of guns, knives, ammo, and more. Doors open at 9 a.m. $10 to enter. See you at the Gun Show.
Ronald McDonald House Charities of Jacksonville is celebrating 35 years of supporting the health and well-being of children by providing lodging, meals, transportation, and a community of care to critically ill children and their families who need to be near a hospital. To learn more about their mission for hashtag Keeping Families Close, please visit rmhcjacksonville.org. That's rmhcjacksonville.org. rmhcjacksonville.org.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Kinetico softener and drinking water system. Kinetico's twin tank, non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. This month, you can get 50% off a Kinetico K5 drinking water system with a purchase of a Kinetico Premier Series softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Kinetico water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Kinetico dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-803-5505 to speak to an expert. That's 800-803-5505.
Have you ever considered becoming a mentor to youth who need it most? Become a positive role model and make a direct impact on at-risk youth at the Malavia Washington Youth Foundation in Jacksonville. Meet once per week and form a bond that you'll cherish forever. Serve hope and change lives with the Malavia Washington Youth Foundation. Learn more at malwashington.com or email volunteer@malwashington.com. Again, email volunteer@malwashington.com. Your future mentee is waiting for you.
There's no time like now to open your heart and start your foster care journey. More foster homes are needed for our most vulnerable youth at St. Augustine and St. Johns County. We are a National Youth Advocate Program, and when safety concerns arise and youth need a temporary home, we're committed to providing loving, nurturing foster homes. Right now is the time to start your foster care license. We'll help you get started when you visit fostercareinfo.org or call 904-810-8645 to learn more.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Chris
Christine Lisi. The Ravens ready to welcome back tight end Mark Andrews. He's been activated off injured reserve, giving quarterback Lamar Jackson back his favorite target for the AFC Championship game Sunday versus Kansas City. In the 7 games that Andrews missed with an ankle injury, Baltimore's offense didn't really miss a beat, thanks in part to second-year tight end Isaiah Likely stepping up. And the two of them could cause some issues for KC. ESPN NFL analyst Ryan Clark.
Now you can have Isaiah Likely on the field and Mark Andrews, which allows you to be bigger on the line, but there are also problems in the pass game. And so if you go with your bigger linebackers and people, they're going to get beat on the outside.
49ers receiver Deebo Samuel took another step toward playing in Sunday's NFC Championship game versus the Lions, was a limited participant at practice yesterday after missing Wednesday's session with a left shoulder injury. NBA Mavericks will be without guard Kyrie Irving a second straight game tonight against the Hawks because of a sprained thumb. Atlanta guard Trae Young questionable. He missed the last 2 games in concussion protocol. Manager Jurgen Klopp announcing he's leaving Liverpool after this season and says he won't help the club pick his successor.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Monday, we'll react to the conference championship games and get you ready for the Super Bowl. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Live from the Anajar and Levine studios, Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Shacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! It really hit me. Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Kasey Kuhrts. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
So a couple weeks ago on the show, before everybody started getting a little fired up, we're trying to figure out some of the things that maybe went wrong this season or whatever else with the Jags or what else they could do. And I think one of the things came up, guys, like we were talking about older players. Like they need to get older players in, maybe not so much youth, guys that have been through it. And I think what's interesting is Baalke mentioned like those second contract guys yesterday. We've done a little bit of that. If you look at the playoff teams that are left, I think they feel older, even though they're young in spots. Like obviously Detroit's had some great young talent help them out this year, but there's also a veteran nature about them, even their quarterback and everything else. But what that led to was even a conversation about the staff. It felt like the staff was younger or new or inexperienced, however you, in parts, especially on defense. Like Mike Caldwell, he's not a young guy, but he was a first-time defensive coordinator. Press Taylor, right, young offensive coordinator. Phil Rauscher, young offensive line coach. Stuff like that. And that's not across Chad Hall, somewhat young. It's not across the board. You had Doug, and you got like Mike McCoy and people like that too. You had Bob Sutton on the defensive side, who was used as like a senior analyst. Well, something I've noticed as they continue to hire or look into hiring defensive guys to replace Mike Caldwell and his staff, I think that whether they're intentionally doing that or not, I like what they're doing. They obviously hire Ryan Nielsen, who's been around the block a bit, but still relatively young, but been around the block, has experience, maybe not as much experience as the actual defensive coordinator as I would hope. But the linebacker coach, Matt Housestead, comes in. He's been a defensive coordinator in like 4 different spots. So his resume speaks to he's been higher than this. Well, the latest one is Chris Richard, who used to be in Seattle. Where was he most recent? Was Seattle the most recent stop, Kasey? You know?
Yeah, I believe so. Saints before that.
Wasn't he like a co-defensive coordinator in Seattle, or
he was
getting the defensive coordinator?
He was a co-defensive coordinator in New Orleans with
Ryan Nielsen.
With Ryan Nielsen. Okay, well, that makes sense.
Seattle, Miami,
Seattle.
As a player, Seattle, Miami, San Francisco, Oakland. As a coach, USC, Seattle, Dallas, New Orleans.
He was never a DC in Seattle?
He was assistant defensive backs coach, cornerbacks coach, defensive backs coach, and then a DC from 15 to 17.
Oh, he was. Okay. Yeah, because I thought he was a hot guy at one point.
15 to 17? Wait a minute.
Seattle Seahawks, 15 to 17 defensive coordinator.
Before that, DB's coach?
Before that, DB's coach.
Is that Legion of Boom?
12 to 14.
It would have been on the back end. It would have been replacing Dan Quinn. So they went Gus Bradley, Dan Quinn, and then Richard. I'm pretty sure. So he was like the next on the list. Now he stayed for 3 seasons, it looks like. But my point in this is, and it sounds like they might bring him in, or maybe they are bringing him in as a defensive backs coach. And if that's the case, I like what they're doing with some of the veteran experience that they're getting on that side of the ball. I think that's a little bit different than what they've had. I think that's a nice thing. I think they need a little bit more gray hair, if you will, even though they're not really gray-haired guys. They can still be younger, but they've got just I think if you've been a defensive coordinator and now you're a linebackers coach, you kind of understand the whole thing. Mike McCoy is, I think, an important part of what's going on their offensive side. Everybody talks Press Taylor. They talk Jim Bob Cooter when he left. They obviously talk Doug. I think what you leave out is Mike McCoy. Mike McCoy is a QB coach who has been around the game for a long time. He was a head coach. He was an offensive coordinator. He understands it. He reminds me of a guy that's not chasing a job to be the OC or chasing a job to be a head coach. He just is happy where he's at. He's content where he's at. He wants to I don't say hitch his wagon, but he wants to help tutor and mentor and get the best out of a guy like Trevor Lawrence. And he has no problem working with Doug and others who are in technically higher positions because he gets the whole thing. Like, I like that. I think that's important. And I think what they're doing here on the defensive side is a nice sign toward that potentially, that they're going to have a wealth of experience in other areas, even though they might be targeting, I'm the defensive backs coach, I'm the linebacker coach.
On Richard, Casey had asked if he was instrumental in the Legion of Boom, and according to his resume on Wikipedia, he was. He was instrumental in putting it together with Pete Carroll in the early 10s. Guys like Richard Sherman, Old Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Brandon Browner, Brian Maxwell, and then for a very short time, Shaq Griffin.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a nice run.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great run of...
You've got a couple of really seasoned, nice resumed coaches on this team. And the question is, can you all put it together next season?
Do you hear what I'm saying, though, in that? Do you think that's important? Do you think that's...
to a degree.
It can't hurt, right?
I don't think it hurts, but at the same time, I don't know that, like, your defensive backs coach is opening your eyes as the defensive coordinator to something you didn't know, see, or understand. Like, maybe through collaboration, but... Like, I don't believe there will be some aha moment during the season where suddenly Ryan Nielsen levels up because the DB coach told him something.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I don't know. I gotta believe, man. This is my view of it. I gotta believe that Doug will have lunch on occasion with Mike McCoy and ask him what he thinks about stuff from his view, his lens, because he's been in my lens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't ask a guy who's never been there in that same respect. I just think it adds a little something. And I wonder if some of this youth, on the team and also in the coaching staff, led to what we got this year, led to running it back. It was just going to happen. In fairness to a little bit of what Trent Baalke said. You lose your edge a little bit. You don't. How do you go through that? Hey, we turned the corner. Things are great in Jacksonville. Look what we've done. Nobody does this in Jacksonville. Okay, we got to go win a Lombardi Trophy. I think guys like this who have seen it, been around the block, seen it from different lenses, a guy like Richard especially, who's been in Seattle and knows what that's like, can certainly aid and help, maybe even a small little bit that might add up to really help do that.
And then in reverse, I think it's easier to give your opinion to the head coach, the offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, when you've been in that position than when you haven't. Because these guys will have opinions. I'm sure no one's shy to share an opinion, especially if you're good with your coworkers. Like, what's the big deal? But the person receiving the opinion can go, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's never been in my shoes. Or he can go, well, this guy knows what he's talking about. He was just doing this last year.
Yeah. No, I like that. And you add the relationship that this guy has with the new defensive coordinator who Doug obviously trusts. Like, I think you're building between your coaching staff, or at least attempting to build the ultimate trust, which is kind of what you need right now because you're not really sure where everybody else is.
This is actually the part that I found interesting is that he and Richard, Nielsen and Richard were co-DCs in New Orleans, which is uncommon.
Yeah, it's uncommon.
You don't really see it. And then the very next year, Nielsen goes to Atlanta. So he leaves New Orleans after being co-DC for 1 year, to be the defensive coordinator for summer. So if you're looking at that from the outside, looking in without talking to these guys, you go, he was probably happy to get out of there, have his own defensive coordinator role. But then he turns around and goes, hey, guy, come with me. Come with me, Richard. I think that's a great sign.
I do too.
I do too. You know what it tells me a little bit is like their ego just checked.
Yeah.
Because it's a very ego-driven business. But it's a little bit of ego check, and you have to do that sometimes in this industry to stay in the industry. I understand that. But I do like, and I'll give you one more thing. Nielsen seemed like he was going to be a pretty hot commodity or somewhat of a hot commodity this year or next year, given the resume. Richard, I think, is a decent name. You're getting guys in here now that probably don't view this as a lame duck situation.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in Jacksonville. There's a little panic mode. There's a lot of emotion. And we're like, if this thing craps to bed next year, they're all out. But there's a confidence coming in here with that defensive staff and some of these coaches coming in. Like, listen, that team's pretty damn good. Like, we're going to be all right there. Let's go get this back up and running and see where we can take it. And you don't just go jump into a job if you don't think that's the case. You don't go move your family if you think it's only going to be a year thing. I've told you guys situations in the past where the Jags have run into that. Somebody will take the job. But I think this shows, like, you got guys with pretty good resumes taking the job in Jacksonville, which actually shows confidence in the organization, which is a very weird thing to say at 4 o'clock on a Friday after these last couple of weeks.
After the first hour.
So that's my good side of the Jags today. It's kind of moving fast. Did you see the other thing where the passing game coordinator, Nick Holtz?
I did, yeah.
He's being interviewed as the OC
for Titans.
Tennessee.
Yep. Weird.
It's kind of a weird.
Since the passing game wasn't that great.
Well, that's a weird arc. You go from passing game coordinator to, although Jim Bob Cooter did, right?
Yes, he did.
What did he get in Indianapolis?
Is he the officially
QB
the
coach?
OC?
Who, Jim Bob?
Yeah.
I don't think he was, but I'll double check. I know he's taking interviews this
He's got
offseason.
interviews, yeah. But Holtz is a young guy.
He left for that was a lateral move?
He was the offensive coordinator.
He was.
Okay.
In Indy?
Yeah.
That makes sense then.
Yeah. Did a nice job overall with all their moving parts.
Pretty decent job. Nah, I think it's weird. But the Titans' whole thing is weird right now. Again, the head coach kind of felt strange because you're not really sure. I mean, they interviewed him. But on the outside, it feels like Zach Taylor gets a lot of credit for what happens in Cincinnati because he's an offensive guy and calls the plays. So then to hire their offensive coordinator was interesting. Again, you fired Vrabel, so you weren't going to rehire him. But he was available. Belichick's available. Pete Carroll's calling people begging to coach. And it just felt like a weird hire. And now you're going to your rival who, again, was supposed to be unbelievable on offense, wasn't, are not getting accolades for their offense. And you're going to, I mean, I get it to just, if you're interviewing, okay, sure, but the whole Tennessee thing feels extremely odd. And you don't know what you got outside of Will Levis.
You know, it's funny you said that about Tennessee today because I was like, man, this thing's sleepy. Like sleepy to the point of, watch it be good.
You talking about Tennessee?
Yeah.
Well, there was a story that did come out today out of ESPN. New Titans coach Brian Callahan says he will be calling the plays this season. I'm always interested when a coach wants to call the plays, especially a first-year coach, when you're going to have to be focused on so much. But a lot of these guys like to lean in what they're familiar with and what they're confident in, and then hire someone to kind of keep an eye on the other half of the team. But Brian Callahan said he intends to call plays this offseason, but that's not what he was doing in Cincinnati. He was not calling the plays in Cincy. That was Zach Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor did credit Callahan for playing a significant role in developing the game plan. Callahan expressed the desire to foster an environment for the Titans that is similar to what he experienced in Cincinnati. So whoever he brings on as the offensive coordinator or the passing game coordinator or the quarterback's coach will have, apparently, a heavy voice in contributing to what the game plan looks like, but won't be responsible on game day for any of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I find that fascinating.
That's a wild jump, by the way, to not even call the plays as the OC, to become the head coach, manage everything, and call the plays.
It's wild.
Dangerous.
Joe Burrow to Will Levis.
Nathaniel Hackett.
And and what is the expectation there in Tennessee?
Not only that, Joe Burrow to Will Levis, but also Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd to you literally do not know.
Trey Lundberg's,
Oh, good. Treylon Burks. Yeah, we'll hold it down.
And Tajee Spears.
I don't know how you find that out, but that's an interesting thing in the process. Like, how do you find out if that guy's good at that? Like, Hackett had called plays in the NFL. What they found out is Hackett and trying to manage the game stuff was like, whoa.
Oh, I thought what they found out was Hackett minus Aaron Rodgers. Whoa. But
Well,
okay.
Maybe. But, well, listen, Hackett's the same guy that got Blake Bortles into the AFC Championship game.
Don't know nothing about that. All I know is what I saw last year.
Wasn't good.
Wasn't good.
But my point is the alarming thing in Denver with Hackett was that he didn't look like he could manage them.
Yeah.
The guys that do a good job. Doug has done a good job of that. Andy Reid's done a good job of that. The list goes on and on. I think McVay and, Zach Taylor, all of them. There are guys that do a good job of it. For whatever reason, Hackett wasn't one of them. But I don't know how you find that out if this guy's any good. You don't even know if he's any good at really calling plays. To your point, Casey.
He's pretty decent at helping establish the game plan.
Yeah. Well, he's got pedigree with his dad and all that. Does that make you feel better about it? I don't know.
Well, he's developed guys, but is that what you're hiring the head coach to do?
But I'll tell you this. It feels like, whatever. Don't worry about those guys. And I got this sneaky suspicion that this is quietly going to be better than people think.
Oh, I think it's going to be a disaster.
Really?
And granted, there were 3 teams I thought were going to be a disaster this year. I think one of them made the playoffs, and the other 2 were really okay.
Well, the Colts and the Rams we weren't too high on.
Yeah, no, this is what I'm. And the Cardinals were like okay.
Yeah,
they were strong, but I'm looking at this Titans team going, they're losing more of them. More of the guys who can play football, they're losing.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of good football players.
And now they're taking on a rookie coach who's going to be calling play. Like, this is just not lining up well for them.
Yeah, great for Jacksonville, though. Sounds great. It's a good segment for the Jags fans.
One of those teams.
That's where I'm like, don't get too sleepy on it. I'm telling you, this will be – because you just brought up great examples. I mean, Houston, the Rams. I mean, you think you're right there and be like, okay, we can just walk in. It's just not how the league works.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, they might – which has me intrigued in Atlanta. Like, that Raheem Morris was that the right pick, even though it wasn't like the sexy pick. Sometimes that's the right pick.
Sure. There are teams, though, where you think they're going to be bad and they're bad.
I still will say this, and I understand Raheem Morris comes
like the Panthers.
Yeah, Raheem
Panthers
Morris
are a good example.
Is getting great reviews. And I don't know Raheem Morris. Maybe it'll be fine. I'm just a little stunned that Raheem Morris beat out 14 people for that job. 13 others.
If you guys are interested, I have probably 15 or so Raheem Morris Bucks mini helmets left. I'm not really sure what you can do with them, but they're available if you need them.
Back to that, did you guys see just a quick segment before we talk about these championship games? And Ducky will join us if you're looking for some betting advice for the weekend. Good luck with that. You see the Ryan Clark stuff where it's really all over the place today about like Belichick, greatest of all time, but he's not – that doesn't mean he's great right now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a lot of us were arguing anyways. Like,
it's a valid point.
Yeah, I think I bring up the record of 47 and 57 over the last 3 years. So it's a valid point. I still don't know if it's a good enough point to pass up on him. Like, do you think he's right? I mean, do you think Bill Belichick had lost his fastball, or do you think Bill Belichick was just asking for too much power?
Might have been both. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. More so than that, though, I'm looking at these teams going, I guess everyone's main goal when hiring a new head coach, especially a young new head coach, is that you end up with a Belichick situation or a Tomlin situation. One of these situations where the guy is your head coach for 10, 15, 20 years.
I agree with this.
You ain't getting it with Belichick.
Yeah.
It's the only one definitely will not, that or Pete Carroll definitely will not be the case.
So you're going to be back in this situation in 3 seasons when you know it's going to take at least a season to get everyone's feet under them at a minimum.
That's the thing. If you were in position to win the Super Bowl, then there's a conversation to be had. Atlanta's not in that position. So if it does take a year, if it takes a year and a half, you've only got a year and a half. You really got one last chance to do it.
Yeah.
So, I think the thought there would be Raheem Morris could be your coach for a long time.
But how awful for Bill Belichick. And trust me, that's the last thing I thought I'd ever say.
Bro feels bad for Belichick.
But how awful for this guy. He's chasing the record, like a really high-level record. And he's not going to have the opportunity. Like, no one's even going to give him a shot.
Nah, man.
I'll say this about that part. It's like, Do you guys care if he's first or Shula's first?
Well, I don't care, but I'm sure he cares.
Well, I get why he does.
If it were me, I'd be livid that I don't even have an opportunity to chase it.
I just don't think there's I don't think the perception on that matters. He's always going to be known as a great coach.
I think he cares.
Oh, no, I would care if I were him too. But I also wonder if that hurt him in this. I wonder if it felt like, from Atlanta's perspective, like he was coming down here for a couple of years to get the record.
Yeah, he didn't care about the organization.
Yeah.
That matters too.
I mean, there's no other way he probably portrayed it. Because, again, to Aaron's point, I think it's a good one. There's no selling him on, we're going to build this thing. We're going to do it for 10,
a lot of good players here.
5 years. Like, you can't even sell it for 5 years. He's not going to be there.
No, if anything, you got to pitch the owner on it's me for 3, and I'm hiring this guy now with me to train him for 2.5 to hand it off.
And then when he said Josh McDaniels was that person, they said, get out of here.
Let's say he's got about 3 or 4 years, okay? But how many guys make it past 4 years in the NFL anyway?
No, not a lot.
So, I'm not worried about my guy for the next 10 years.
I think that's the goal of every hire.
It is the goal, but not in this instance. I'm 81 years old and I'm Arthur Blank. What the hell do I care about 10 years from now?
Yeah, I don't know the situation with the kids or who the team goes to.
I don't either.
Bro's trying to make it to 91, Brent. Come on.
I get it. I don't mean to sound flippant about that, but I can't help but think about that. I've tried a bunch of different ways. I've had 6 losing seasons. I know a guy that really doesn't lose much. I can at least flip it to the winning side, the culture side. I have no guarantee with Raheem Morris on that. Sure, you can say all the great things. He learned a lot the second time around, all this stuff. That's fine. And he has a history in the organization. I get it. Might be the greatest. He might do a great job. But there's no slam dunk at all. That guy's going to win. There's a really good chance that Belichick's going to find a way to get the most out of whatever team you give him. I think.
I'm not sure I believe that anymore.
And this is the Ryan Clark thing went all the way around, and I get it. But I'll go back to it. I said a couple times this week I stole it from Schachter, but I think it's spot on. Nice. 30 teams said no to Brady. They thought he was too old.
Well, 30 teams said no to Lamar. 31 teams said no to Lamar.
That was for a different reason.
Example. But Belichick's in more the same ilk of Brady here. You've only got a couple more years left.
Yeah.
Well, Tampa took a chance and won a freaking Super Bowl. How many people regret that they didn't do that?
But that's Casey's point. If you were knocking on the door of a Super Bowl, maybe Belichick makes a ton of sense. But that's not Atlanta. That's not Washington.
I don't understand how I don't think is Atlanta that far away from.
They didn't make the playoffs.
They didn't make the playoffs. They're not that far away from the playoffs. They are very far away from the 4 teams that are left. So, yes, they could make the playoffs next year if they got the quarterback and Belichick was their coach.
How would you feel if they got Kirk Cousins? Would you say they're a lot closer?
They're a playoff team for sure.
They're a playoff team for sure. That's about where I'm at.
How many Super Bowls has Cousins won?
No, I get it. I'm just saying that's a huge upgrade at quarterback.
From Desmond Ridder, sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and you get to utilize the weapons. They have significant players on that roster.
We believe. We just haven't seen it happen. We think Bijan Robinson is extremely talented.
Yeah.
But we didn't see that this season for whatever reason. We think Kyle Pitts is extremely talented, but we haven't seen it for 2 or 3 years, despite his supreme blocking numbers from PFF this year. Casey has 57 mini helmets with Drake London's name on it, but we don't know what that guy's going to be ultimately. We think he's good, but you just don't know yet.
You need him to throw it to him. You should see the Kyle Pitts helmets. Holy cow.
I will say this back to I don't care I don't think it changes the outside perception of Belichick if he gets the overall wins record one bit. I actually think he had more to potentially lose going to Atlanta and coaching again than
flopping. Yeah, maybe.
From a legacy standpoint.
Well, this is why he wanted someone who was close, an underachieving team.
Yeah.
He's like, you guys did the hard work. Now I just got to yell at somebody.
I get it, though, why he wants that. You don't want to tarnish the legacy and win 15 games over the next 4 years.
No, it'd be miserable.
How many does he need, though?
Well, he needs 15.
Well, then, listen, if you win 15, you lose the rest of them. You don't really tarnish the legacy. You cement it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Now, if you win 7 years are 40 games under 500.
I get it, but if you get the record, nobody brings that up. But if you win 13, then it doesn't. Then everything's a disaster.
Imagine winning 13 and then getting blown out before the season's over. That's even worse. Oof.
That would be tough.
Belichick's coming over your house, lighting it on fire.
You got the Panthers the last week. They fire you 2 weeks before. He's like, what do you mean?
I'll coach for free, guys.
I'll say this is an odd coaching cycle in the NFL.
Really weird. Really weird.
For all the interviews and all the names out there, to see the ones that were selected is really surprising.
And by the way, like the hottest commodities haven't been hired. Not just Vrabel and Belichick, like Ben Johnson is still obviously they're in the playoffs. But like these jobs are almost done.
It's amazing. All right, we'll be back. Brent and Friends on ESPN 690. We take a look at that big game. The Lions, the Niners, the Chiefs, and the Ravens. Two good ones coming up on Sunday. We talk about it next.
Now, the First Alert Forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly cloudy, warm, and even a little humid today with a few afternoon showers. Highs around 80 degrees. An evening shower tonight, then partly cloudy and dropping to near 60. A partly sunny, breezy, and warm Saturday. Tomorrow's highs reach the low 80s in the afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Join me today beginning at 5 p.m. on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed.
Why let a plumbing company tear up your property to repair or replace your old cast iron pipes when Superior Plumbing and Pipelining's no-dig trenchless service can reline them in just one day? Request an estimate now at SuperiorPlumbingJax.com.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjax.com.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods. You know, we've been in business here in Florida since 1928. And if you asked what's been the most important part of our history and what will be the most important part of Underwood's future, the answer's the same thing for both. Our honesty and integrity. Our founder, H.F. Underwood, had a favorite saying, "Know the truth and tell the truth." That's why we're the longest-standing member of the American Gem Society in Florida, because we know that you have to have the knowledge about gemstones before you can tell the truth about gemstones. As a result, we've continued educating our staff through the Gemological Institute of America and the American Gem Society. In fact, today, Underwoods has the largest American Gem Society credentialed staff of professionals east of the Mississippi River. So come by and see why we're looking forward to the future and let one of our credentialed professionals take care of you. At Underwoods, San Marco, Avondale, or the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Meet Mike Lester.
Talent is not going to be the right choice for every single person out there, right? Because everybody is different. We do well when our clients do well. We're literally sitting on the same side of the table with them. We're in this together.
Yeah.
When you do well, I'll do well. Once we have that understanding, then we can come up with a plan that's designed to help you be successful in retirement.
Find out more at guardingyournestegg.com.
Advisory services through Talent Private Wealth and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Florida License D056341.
You have the power to provide counseling to abused children, connect kids with foster families, find shelter for homeless teens, and strengthen at-risk families. Please be a part of bettering our local community by donating to danielkids.org.
This year, I resolved to have a whole new view in life.
Nice. So what are we talking? New attitude? Maybe new glasses?
Nope. New windows and doors from American Window Products.
New view. I see what you did there.
They're Jacksonville's oldest family-owned replacement window and door company. Great prices, selection, professional installation. They look great, too. And you can save $250 off any entry door and free installation on 6 or more windows in January when you call 731-2247 or visit AmericanWindowProducts.com.
Thanks. I'll give them a look.
Have you ever considered becoming a mentor to youth who need it most? Become a positive role model and make a direct impact on at-risk youth at the Malavia Washington Youth Foundation in Jacksonville. Meet once per week and form a bond that you'll cherish forever. Serve hope and change lives with the Malavia Washington Youth Foundation. Learn more at malwashington.com or email volunteer@malwashington.com. Again, email volunteer@malwashington.com. Your future mentee is waiting for you.
God, I'm so stressed. It's a brand new year and our business is busier than ever.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma, smart communications for the smarter business.
You're all set with your Medicare prescriptions, Mrs. Brown.
This is not just low-cost copays at Walgreens.
I can actually help you set up 90-day refills if you want.
This is having a partner you can trust. Get low-cost copays, 90-day refills, and delivery from your neighborhood Walgreens. This is being independent. Together. Walgreens.
Restrictions apply. For details, see walgreens.com/pharmacy.
Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690. And you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. We're going to talk about the AFC NFC Championship games with Ducky Betts in just a moment. But let's get to Steven. He's been hanging on the line. Quick thought on the Jags, I'm assuming. What's up, Steven? Happy Friday.
Hey, happy Friday to you guys. Brent, you were at the conference there. I had a question. I just wanted to get your thoughts or feel on it. You know, Baalke said, okay, Josh Allen, going to be a Jag. Ridley, yeah, we'd like to have him back. But somebody mentions Cam and say, we got to have a little talk about that and where we want to go with that direction. I mean, if they cut him, we save $21 million on the cap. And, you know, maybe there's some word about, I believe the question was asked, Anton moved to left. But, I mean, I remember Kasey saying at some point, you know, they've done a disservice to Walker Little his entire career here, moving him around musical chairs. Before Cam was brought back, he was a top 5 left tackle in the NFL. And I just wanted to get your feel on the situation there. I just thought that was kind of funny. You bring up players you want back, but somebody brings up a name like Cam or whatever, you kind of go quiet on it, like, oh, but we need to talk about this.
Yeah. By the way, Aaron gave me an A- in the news conference. How about you?
I'll give you a straight up A.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
Easy grader.
Easy grader. Good way to go into the weekend, Steven. Thank you very much.
I'm with Steven on this, by the way. Like we said during the season, we gave some stats on Cam, how you play with him in the game, how you play with him outside of the game. And I get the financial thinking behind it, the money savings and stuff. But I think when Trent Baalke talks about or said what he said about the extension and Trevor, I think it's a reflection of these kinds of conversations they're going to have around players like Foye, Lewick, and Cam Robinson.
Yeah, first of all, I don't have a problem with Baalke not saying anything about it.
No.
He's not going to tell you. What he was basically saying is matter-of-factly, we don't know.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Like, he can say we want Calvin Ridley back, but we all know there has to be some kind of negotiation, whatever. Cam's under contract, and what he told you is he's either, he might come back, but we're not really sure if he's going to come back, and we don't really know. So I actually think this is one of those deals where the fan base gets anxious about this answer, hammers Baalke, because he's not telling them what they want to hear.
Okay, but this is the same answer.
They wanted them to say, yeah, he's coming back because everybody in town wants Cam back.
All right, but this is the same answer any GM would give on this player specifically based on the situation on the roster.
Well, unless they had already talked about it and said, no, we plan to have him, and we're going to keep Anton Harrison at right tackle.
Right.
Right? But I think there are obviously now some I don't like this, just for the record. It's not even about Cam. I get the discussion about Cam. I can make the case that Cam needs to be here. I can make the case that I get why Cam wouldn't be here. You've got 2 other players. It's time to get Walker Little on the field in some capacity. What I don't understand is playing a guy at right tackle does a nice job all season long. We think Walker Little's better at left tackle. Now you're going to put potentially Anton Harrison at left tackle in a position he never has played in the NFL. I know he played a lot in college. And you're going to put Walker Little in at right tackle that he's not a position he's not as good at as maybe left tackle.
Am I wrong? Didn't he play well for Juwan last year?
He played well. I think we all said he played well, but I think he played better at left tackle.
I agree.
So that will be a conversation for another day, however that shakes out. But I guess I wasn't as turned off by the answer.
No.
Because I do think it's more debatable.
Yeah, it's more of a discussion.
Yeah.
I think there are certain players on this roster that have earned the discussion, and certain players on this roster where it's like the discussion only needs to be how quickly are we making the offer.
And by the way, I will say this too, and we'll get Ducky Betts in. He hesitated on 2 players in the conversation, Cam and Trevor, that have been injured.
Bro loves injured players, though.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, when you're talking about paying top dollar to injured players, there's always a pause there. I mean, if Tom Coughlin was sitting in that seat, he'd say the same thing. Availability is the best ability, right? So,
but is it possible that that's just part of the negotiation?
That might be.
Hadn't Cam already been hurt when they paid him, or no? At some, I know not the one that happened last year.
He might have, but he's been hurt now
multiple
quite
times.
a bit in his career, unfortunately, because I think he's a good player. All right, let's get Ducky _Bets on. Big weekend here in the NFL. Oh, you got to be drooling over this weekend, Ducky.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I got a little bit of the duck flu over here, but, I'm still drooling for other reasons.
I thought maybe you were feeling sick because you had Belichick minus 300 to the Falcons.
Oh, dude, that was a really, really surprising move.
Yeah.
Raheem Morris. I mean, I like Raheem Morris regardless, but I'm surprised that Belichick might be without a job.
You and everybody else.
Yeah.
Is it duck flu or bird flu? Duck flu is better.
Oh.
Yeah, duck flu sounds more fun, right?
Yeah,
bird flu is dangerous.
That is dangerous.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, take us, get us to the headlines. I mean, we know what the headlines are. These are 2 games that could be super entertaining.
There are games this weekend?
Let me ask you this.
Oh, yeah.
In Jacksonville, we haven't been talking about these games. We've had a lot to talk about. But I'm going to start in the NFC on this one because I'm a little surprised at the spread in the San Fran-Detroit game. Are you?
Same. Yeah, I'm pretty surprised. I get it, though. I guess, if you look at it optically, you're looking at – you would think that if these 2 teams met in the regular season with Debo fully healthy, that San Francisco might be a larger than a 7-point spread. So I get it. And them being having a letdown game against the Packers, it kind of it deflates the number a little bit. It brings them down to a -7. But I think at this point, if you look at both teams, it's tough to want to bet the 49ers here. I wouldn't fault somebody for taking them. But it's just tough to take them, especially with Deebo Samuel's health being of the utmost importance, right? Because the 49ers, they're 12-1 with him, 1-4 without him, 10-3 against the spread with him, 0-5 ATS without him.
Wow.
So yeah, it's tough, and then we don't know if he's. I saw videos of him practicing and stuff, but if he does play, who's to say that he's not used as either a decoy or because everyone's playing hurt at this point in the season, right? But if he's used as a decoy, we don't know, or if he just plays a series and gets re-injured, right, in a tough physical game against a physical team who's going to bite your kneecaps, as they've said, right? So we don't know how that's going to shake out, but I don't like the thought of backing the 49ers personally with an injured Debo, who's very, very important, because without him, they're just going to double up Ayuk or put the safety over the top on him, and it's going to be just Kittle and McCaffrey and whoever can get loose in these plays. It's going to be tough.
My only issue with the Debo stats you're given is that a lot of the games that Debo missed this year were the same games that Trent Williams missed, and 1 or 2 of those games Christian McCaffrey missed. So that may slant the stats a little bit in the favor of Debo in that conversation. I still can't get away from the Jared Goff splits here.
Yeah.
It's making me hard to think that the Lions are going to do something really impressive.
Well, I will say, though, just because he does play poorly outside, but isn't the weather supposed to be pretty good this weekend for in San Francisco?
I think so.
It's less than 10-mile-per-hour winds. So it's not necessarily a normal outdoor game that you would say, oh, Jared Goff and weather, right?
Not playing in the snow or anything, yeah.
Yeah, and if they were playing in the rain, I would say that would even actually help the Lions, because then they would just ground and pound away. But I don't know. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really interesting. We're going to see if Shanahan and I trust Shanahan to develop a really good game plan here, but it's going to be tough because the Lions, obviously, I'm sure that's been a huge talking point all week everywhere, that the Lions' run defense is really, really good. That's the strength of their team, right? And it's going to be tough to run on them. So what are they going to do? They're going to dump off passes to McCaffrey, which is why I kind of like McCaffrey in the passing game this week. I like him from a prop standpoint. If you're going to take something here, I like hitting Christian McCaffrey over 35.5 receiving yards, right? He got 12 targets last week against the Packers, 7 catches, right? So you could see a little bit more short pass game, some dump off passes from Brock, just kind of get steady in the beginning of that game, right? Because after a letdown performance, even though he did lead the team back and win a game, but everyone's talking about how poorly they played last week.
What about the other game?
Oh yeah, this to me is the number one game. This is great. This is everything you want.
Are you a believer?
Conference championship game.
Duck, are you a believer the Chiefs' offense is back or fixed?
No, you see, it's hit or miss. So it's like you can never doubt Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, right? Arguably, they are the best head coach quarterback combo in NFL history, right? You could argue that. But you have to also say that you have to admit that the matchups that they've had so far in the playoffs, at least, right, that their offense is magically fixed, right, quote unquote. They had the Dolphins who were on like their final legs, and then they have the Bills who were down to like 2 linebackers at the end of that game.
Two of those linebackers who weren't with the team last week.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's they've been playing depleted defenses. So now they're going into against a fully healthy defense
who's elite,
who is just savage. Yeah, they're a savage team, man, and they're a tough team to beat, especially at M&T Bank Stadium, and that place is going to be crazy. They have Shaq DJing in the parking lot before the game this weekend, so it should be actually insane.
Over under, I'm looking at it, that game 44 and a half.
I slightly lean to the under there, surprisingly, because I do think that both game plans are going to be to run the ball. The Chiefs' biggest deficiency on the team is their rush defense, right? They've been exposed a little bit this season on that, and you can run on them, and that's what the Ravens do really well, right? With Lamar, I do like Justice Hill, over 49.5 rushing plus receiving yards. He's been out-snapping Gus Edwards past 5 weeks of the season and the playoffs as well. But yeah, the Kansas City rush defense is the weakest piece of the team. They're 27th in DVOA against the run. They're 25th in DVOA against the running backs in the passing game. So I can see the Ravens hitting that a lot and kind of running out the clock. And the Chiefs defense is good. They're good in the red zone. The Ravens are really, really good in the red zone. They're number one defense in the red zone, actually, in the NFL, which is why I also like Harrison Butker over 1.5 field goals.
Oh, kicker prop.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. And he's been perfect in the playoffs so far. 6 for 6 from field goals, and those are 2 bad weather games. But yeah, Ravens number one red zone defense, man. I think they're going to get some stops. I can see the scoring staying low. I will say though that it's funny because history does back the favorites here in this position. If you look at his NFL history, so favorites in the last 20 years in the NFC and AFC conference championship games are 55% against the spread, 70% straight up. In all the rounds, they're just 42% against the spread. And number one seeds specifically in the championship games are 59% against the spread and 78% straight up. I believe the 2 number one seeds last year are the ones that made it, right? Or am I wrong? I know the Eagles were number one for sure.
And Chiefs, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I like your DVOA rushing stats pointing that the Chiefs may struggle a little bit with the Ravens, who tend to run a lot. The only issue I take there is that the leading rusher on the Ravens was Lamar Jackson. And a lot of those aren't even design runs. It's just passing plays that kind of break down. Outside of that, Gus Edwards and Justice Hill combined for not 1,200 yards, just under 1,200 yards. And so that to me doesn't scream dangerous rushing attack, but this is a very strong, very physical team. We saw them here in Jacksonville. We know what they can do, especially late in a game when the defense is kind of worn down the offense and slowed down. The Chiefs on the other side of the ball, then comes the offense on the Ravens side of the ball late in the game with those design runs that could be your real problem. I'm kind of with you on the under on this one. Between the defenses and between longer possessions, longer drives, I'm not sure they're cracking 45 points in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And you saw what Josh Allen did to the Chiefs, right, with running the ball. And he had, at least 12 attempts of just running, and he was running right down their throat.
Yeah.
But I think, Lamar Jackson's a little bit more of a finesse runner, and he has very, very good instincts with the ball.
Totally.
He stops on a dime out of nowhere, and the defender's flying by him, and he's going to keep going. So it's going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be a fun one, though, for sure. I can't deny anyone who wants to take the Chiefs, though. them as an underdog, like, it's a good bet.
Yeah, it's usually a good bet.
Yeah.
What's interesting about Lamar Jackson here is I think he's tried to be very calculated in the risk that he puts his body under. In a game like this, it doesn't matter. You're not worried about next week.
Yeah, you're getting the
right?
Super Bowl. Yeah.
You got to get to the Super Bowl, and so I find it interesting. You came on the show last week and told us about a bunch of stats that did not favor Lamar Jackson, and he debunked the theory. So now, well, no, that's okay. I mean, that's what happens. But he had to do it, and they were the better team. But it gave you a little pause when you heard all those statistics about him as a favorite and in the playoffs and all this other stuff that you were telling us. When you have that data, and then you have a week like they had and they proved that they were as good as we thought they were, and we think they're good and better than they've been when those other numbers have shown up. Do you now throw that out the window?
Yeah, partly. Yeah, partially you have to kind of throw it out the window. They debunked it, and now they kind of they got the monkey off their back, right? So now it's put up or shut up. You're against the best duo and a current dynasty in the NFL right now against the Chiefs. And if you win this game, that is a notch on that belt for Lamar Jackson. With now probably 2 MVPs after this season, beats Mahomes in an AFC Championship game, goes to Super Bowl. Who knows what happens there? But that's a huge notch on his belt, and that's how legacies are made, man.
Yeah, he's got a chance to certainly do it with getting the Super Bowl, and it was really the only box he needed to check for me is can he win in the postseason, and they did a good job of it last week, and they've got another opportunity. I will say if they don't win this game, I think that stigma will stay around a little bit because they are a favorite. I mean, this is about as good a team as you can have with a chance to go to the Super Bowl in your own stadium, playing as good a ball and as healthy as you are. Mark Andrews comes back. And if you don't do it, I think that stigma kind of comes back to a little bit because you'd be 2-4 in the postseason. You don't think it. You don't buy it.
This guy can't win with you.
No, it's the only thing that I have on him.
Yeah.
And listen, I think he's been tremendous to him. But the bottom line is,
awesome.
Now you have to get here. This is very much Josh Allen last week. Josh Allen had to win that game. It was at home. That was his game to win. That hurts him from a legacy standpoint right now. In the big conversation, Lamar Jackson is hurt by one thing, his inability to yet get to a Super Bowl. This is his greatest opportunity to do it, and he needs to win this game. Like this, Patrick Mahomes does not need to win this game. Lamar Jackson needs to win this game.
Yeah, I don't buy that he needs to win it. I buy that he feels like he needs to win it. But at 26 years old, he's got 10 years before he's worrying about his legacy.
Yeah, I grew up a Dan Marino fan.
Fair enough. I know you're watching every year in disappointment, and I'm watching every year laughing, but Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback, a great football player. And even though we sat here looking at this Ravens team this offseason, make some moves to help him out, the OBJ signing, the Zay Flowers draft, picking up Dalvin Cook late in the season and adding to the running back room, he still doesn't have one of these top wide receiver rooms or anything close to it.
True.
His number one's a rookie. Mark Andrews was injured. I mean, and even then, Mark Andrews, some would say, looked slower this year than maybe last year, had less touchdowns than last year. But this guy, Lamar, just knows how to win. He throws for 150 yards and still ends up with 4 touchdowns. Like, he has nothing left to prove to me. I believe he is a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, despite not making it yet in his extremely young career. When he beats the Chiefs this weekend, he's going to solidify it.
It's going to be, you know what? It's funny because that team also, the Ravens in general, they have a really good chance of keeping both their coordinators. Really, there's only 2 open jobs on the market right now. One of them is trending towards Ben Johnson. The other one, I don't know that McDonald is going to get it.
This is insane that Munkin and McDonald aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, it is true.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, so they might keep the same coordinators, and a lot of their players are under contract. This is a young team. They're going to be around for a little bit. They have a good 2 to 3 year window here where they can make some serious, really, really serious noise as long as they stay injury free. And they have relatively this year.
God forbid.
Obviously, Mark Andrews.
God forbid Mike Evans or even a Michael Pittman Jr. go to the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, the team is just going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm scared of Mike Evans going to the Chiefs. That's the one I'm scared of, honestly, because that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's the one I'm terrified of.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ducky. That's about their window is open, and the coordinators are interesting. I was thinking about that with Todd Monken because we know Todd a little bit from his days in Jacksonville, and he was just a coordinator for 2 national championship teams in Chicago. And I almost feel like he said, I don't want to go be a head coach. I want to stay here and be the OC. Because his name wasn't even mentioned about.
Well, he's going to win a Super Bowl.
And he has a really good chance to do that. Ducky_bets. Have a good weekend, man. Thanks for the advice going into these championship games.
You too, guys.
I just tweeted this quick. Casey, did the Ravens always a good organization. Did the Ravens sneak up on people this year to be as good as they are? Remember they were playing the AFC North, Cincinnati.
Okay, but they were a first-place team when Lamar went down, I believe.
I just feel
You know
like
about last year?
Yeah.
They were.
I feel like we were talking about the Bills, the Jets before got hurt, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Jags, did I say the Bengals? I did.
Yeah, I mean, you might be onto something, maybe. There was definitely conversation about who was going to win that division. Aaron picked the Browns. I picked the Bengals. So clearly there is something there a little bit. I don't think you thought they were going to be this good.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, I think we thought they might be the 5th, 6th, 7th best team in the AFC.
Yeah.
And they're the best team in the National Football League.
But we were giving deference to the Chiefs and then teams like Cincinnati and Buffalo who we thought would show up again. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I mean, it's sneaky like how they're this good. They might be the best team in the league by far.
Maybe. I mean, they certainly put it to the Niners when they played.
They put it on everybody that they've played. That's good.
Almost everybody.
They're like 5-0 with double-digit wins over the best teams in the league this year.
Yeah. They did lose to the Colts and the Steelers and the Browns once. Steelers twice, I'm sorry.
I'm not saying
twice.
they're the best team of all time. I'm saying they're the best team in the league by far, it appears, right now. And we might find out that again on Sunday. We'll be back on ESPN 690.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet, now open in St. Augustine.
The January weather has been fluctuating, those temperatures dipping down in the evenings and mornings. Is your heating system safe to use? The team at Bold City Heating and Air specializes in system revitalization and optimizing your system so it runs safe and at peak efficiency. Schedule your winter system checkup for only $49 at boldcityac.com. Bold City Heating and Air can help you save hundreds of dollars on your energy bill, too. Get the checkup, save money, and make sure your AC unit is safe for all the weather conditions. Schedule online at boldcityac.com.
Here we grow again. Terry Norvell here from the Young and Norvell Show, announcing our new expanded hours as we are now on weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's right. You now have a standing lunch date with me and my broadcast partner, former Gators basketball star and current SEC network analyst Patrick Young, every weekday for 2 solid hours from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on ESPN 690. You supply the lunch. We provide the most compelling sports talk in town. Find out for yourself weekdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Catch the Young and Norvell Show on ESPN 690.
Koala Insulation.
Hey, this is Bruce.
And I'm Carrie.
We're the owners of Koala Insulation.
Are you feeling that cold floor under your feet or those drafty rooms? Does your heat turn on and off all day long just to try to keep that home comfortable? It might be your insulation.
Give us a call and set up your free evaluation at 679-6282 or find us online at koalainsulation.com.
Start the year with a new or used vehicle at Nimnick Buick GMC. New year, new truck. There are trucks, and then there's the truck, the GMC Sierra. I love mine, and you can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierra 1500s and enjoy rates as low as 0.9% APR financing. Try a Terrain or Acadia with rates as low as 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers. Used car? Well, try the Car Bravo program. Nimnick certifies all makes and models. NimnickBuickGMC.com or the showroom off Phillips Highway. GMC. We are professional grade.
Here's Ben and John Lupo, owners of Beards Diamonds.
It's funny, my dad has sold people engagement rings, and now I'm selling their kids engagement rings and anniversary gifts and birthday gifts.
We're blessed with the relationships we've built over the years.
Check out our full inventory at beardsdiamonds.com.
Beards Diamonds in the St. John's Town Center.
There's no time like now to open your heart and start your foster care journey. More foster homes are needed for our most vulnerable youth at St. Augustine and St. Johns County. We are a National Youth Advocate Program, and when safety concerns arise and youth need a temporary home, we're committed to providing loving, nurturing foster homes. Right now is the time to start your foster care license. We'll help you get started when you visit fostercareinfo.org or call 904-810-8645 to learn more.
Rich Jones here. Investing can be more about just filling a bank account. It's about having a secure retirement, protecting your family. Let DLP Capital help you to protect your why. Here's CEO and founder Don Wenner.
I started DLP Capital with an expectation that I could provide my family, my investors, my team members, and the families of my investors with awesome returns, limited volatility, and no losses, all while providing desperately needed affordable housing to the American workforce.
To get your investor's guide and learn more, dial ** invest on your cell phone or visit highyieldreturns.net.
Perfect Rack Billiards has a deal for you. 50-cent Wing Fridays during lunch. Get out of work early, get a head start on the weekend, or just take a lunch break. 11:30 until 3 p.m. on Fridays. Every Friday, Perfect Rack Billiards with 50-cent wings for lunch on Fridays. A perfect place to stop in Murray Hill, play some pool, play some darts, maybe some shuffleboard. Now, that's a heck of a lunch break. And get those 50-cent wings on Friday just to make it better. 11:30 to 3 p.m. on Fridays at Perfect Rack Billiards.
Make the superior choice when you hire a plumber. From unclogging drains and water heater repairs to complete cast iron pipe replacements, Superior Plumbing and Pipelining has you covered. Request a free estimate from Superior Plumbing and Pipelining at superiorplumbingjacks.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Okay, everyone, gather round. It's time for corny jokes about passing the torch.
The team at Kirian's Welding was fused together solid.
Thanks for all the late nights and early shifts.
But double retirements mean the crew must bond with some certified new hires.
You've both gone the extra millimeter.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
Discover how good your water can be with the new Kinetico softener and drinking water system. Kinetico's twin tank, non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. This month, you can get 50% off a Kinetico K5 drinking water system with a purchase of a Kinetico Premier Series softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Kinetico water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Kinetico dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
The Gun Show is back at the Maxwell Snyder Armory on Normandy Boulevard this Saturday and Sunday. Buy, sell, trade, and browse a huge selection of guns, knives, ammo, and more. Doors open at 9 a.m. $10 to enter. See you at the Gun Show.
You probably have a list of New Year's resolutions for 2024. Well, right now you can make that decision to get lasting relief from that awful joint pain for the rest of the year. Put that on the resolution list. Don't go another year compromising because of that pain in your knees or shoulder. Call QC Kinetics right now. Get a free consultation, 904-274-5522, because QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative, non-surgical pain relief. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue, and QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. The future of pain treatments has arrived, and QC Kinetics has tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with back pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, any pain associated with arthritis or even injury. This is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again, get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. So give them a call right now, QC Kinetics, and get a free consultation, 904-274-5522, 904-274-5522.
ESPN 690 is home for the Florida Sportsman Fishing Show hosted by Captain Rick Riles. Tune in every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. to find out what's biting now. Fishing so fresh, you can almost smell it.
Every weeknight at 6 p.m., it's Overtime with Kuhrts and Middleton, and check us out right here on ESPN 690.
Live from the Anajar and Levine studios, Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Huge boost for the AFC's top-seeded Ravens. Tight end Mark Andrews out the last 7 games with an ankle injury, activated off injured reserve, so quarterback Lamar Jackson gets back his favorite target for Sunday's AFC title game against the Chiefs. Unsportsmanlike co-host Chris Canty.
He allows the Ravens offense to be more multiple in terms of their personnel groupings. If you've got Mark Andrews, now you can go out there and play that 12 personnel, not lose a lot in terms of the run game and being able to maul at the line of scrimmage, but also have a guy that can be a matchup problem when the Kansas City Chiefs try to match your big personnel with base people on the field.
Since being drafted in the 3rd round in 2018, Andrews ranks in the top 3 in the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdown catches. Chiefs running back Isaiah Pacheco and linebacker Willie Gay questionable Sunday. Guard Joe Tooney is out. 49ers receiver Deebo Samuel's shoulder injury still uncertain against Detroit NFC title game on Sunday. NBA Mavericks ruled guard Kyrie Irving out versus the Hawks tonight with a sprained thumb. Atlanta guard Trae Young questionable. He missed the last 2 games while in concussion protocol.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Canty. Coming up Monday, we'll react to the conference championship games and get you ready for the Super Bowl. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, your chance to win $1,000 as ESPN 690 wants to pay your bills. Sponsored by the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, JOI, where the pros go.
Enter the word GOLD. That's GOLD at ESPN690.com by 15 past the hour.
Your next chance to win $1,000 and have ESPN 690 pay your bills happens Monday morning at 8 a.m. This is a nationwide contest. Message and data rates apply.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Shacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! Ow! It really hit me.
Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Kasey Kuhrts. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
The weeks have gone slow. This one maybe a little faster, it feels like. 5 o'clock hour on a Friday.
Isn't that weird?
Any guesses on next week? Fast, slow? Maybe so.
Fast.
Fast.
Super fast.
Super fast.
Yeah.
Like
Fastest week of my broadcasting career.
Coming next week?
Next week.
Bro must be off.
Was I off on Monday this week? I think that's why.
Was that this week?
Was that this week?
I don't think it
Maybe
was.
that was a long time ago.
I think it was last week.
You sure? I
I'm
don't
not.
even remember.
I'm not sure.
Oh, no, it was definitely this week.
Well,
You were
because I
stuck in
came
the
back
airport.
from California.
Yeah.
That's right. That was this week.
Maybe it didn't go
Oh,
fast.
it feels like 3 weeks ago.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
I always think like the concept of time is fascinating to me.
Oh, man.
Especially as it relates, like you'll get this, Casey, at some point when you have kids.
Oh, boy.
Oh, like the kids, they have no concept of time.
None.
Like that's where the whole like, are we there yet? In the back of the car comes from, like when the kids are little, right?
My daughter, something happened that she asked me about from like a month and a half ago. She said a couple of yesterdays ago. I was like, yeah, something like that.
I don't know what age you like have a concept of time, but like
It
even
takes a
when they're
while.
little human beings, like they feel like you kind of like, oh, like they're normal, like they should know, what an hour is.
Yeah.
They really have no clue what an hour is.
Well,
right?
especially because it's such a larger percentage of their life than it is yours.
That's true.
Like 1 year to my daughter is a sixth of her entire life.
Which is nuts when you prorate it
that's
out like
nuts,
that.
That is wild, actually.
I was thinking of that. I've said this before about the dog stuff, right? It's like I figured the dogs would have the concept of, okay, a couple of times in the calendar year, the fireworks are going to go off.
Or like when you leave the house and crate them or put them in a room that you're not gone forever.
Yeah.
But that's not really how they take it.
That's not how they take it. So I guess they're a lot like kids in that sense.
Yeah.
They don't have a good concept of time.
Just like that, Brent.
Just like it. You don't have to change your diapers.
No, you just got to clean it up off the floor.
Wait for a long time to potty train. Football at 5, we will talk more about this game and what it means and some of the fun things around the Chiefs and Ravens and also the Niners and the Lions. But before we do that, let's get South Beach Gary in on a Friday. What's up?
Guys, this is Trent Baalke here. Why would I retire from the Jags where I can still get millions out of them?
It's a good question. Would you retire if you could get millions out of them, Gary?
Is this Trent's burner account?
Of course not. You know, I mean, get all the millions you can out of that. What's his name? Sean Khan, whatever his name is. You know, the Wrath of Khan. He's going to be the Wrath of Baalke. But that guy, seriously, Brent, was it?
But seriously, Brent, let me hold on, Gary. Who was worse, me or South Beach? Because I'm not really feeling great about the segment the other day.
Yeah, you weren't.
I really wasn't.
Set you in a bad way.
Man,
man.
I left this studio. I was like, I'm going to try harder tomorrow, guys.
I was funny, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron needs a pick-me-up. Say he was funnier, please.
Yeah, you were great, Aaron.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Gary.
Brent, two questions. Was it asked if the I didn't hear you answer yesterday. Was it asked if the VP of Football Operations was revisited again? And number two, was it asked why it took so long to have the press conference? And I got KC by 3 because of a big Lamar Jackson mistake cost them the game, and I got Frisco by 10. And have a good weekend, guys.
All right, you too. Enjoy the games. It's interesting South Beach Gary brings that up. What was the first question he wanted?
He wanted to know if his Baalke was as good as mine.
That was not it.
I almost died. I was mid-sip.
Oh, the EVP.
When he said, seriously, I was like, oh, this is it. I'm not breathing again. But yeah, EVP and why it took so long.
EVP, I thought in hindsight today, because I've been talking about that Baselli role that so much this week. I was like, maybe I wonder if I should have asked, do you need some of my help? Like a third voice. I don't know if you need to label it executive vice president.
That would have been a good question, Brent. You would have got mad props for that. Probably a better letter grade
this
from Aaron.
This is not why I ask questions, by the way, to get mad props.
I don't know, man. You seem pretty excited about the grade you got.
I think if you I think he's saying from like social media.
Got it.
No, I'm saying Aaron takes it from an A. Depends on how you ask the question, of course. An A- to an A. If you sit up there and say, do you need more help at this job? That's a wild question, Brent.
Well, I mean,
that'd be a fair question.
I give you points for fortitude if you ask it, but really, I would.
Okay, cool. He's thought about it.
I would rather you structure it a little bit differently.
Well, here's why it's a relevant question, in my opinion. When, at some point, now I'm losing sight of when, but at some point in between Urban to Doug, Shad mentioned executive vice president. And I think he kind of matter-of-factly said, I think we're going to hire executive vice president.
He did say we were going to hire one, yeah.
So I think that's why it's relevant. Now, maybe it's more relevant to a Shad, if you have a chance to talk to him, than it is to Trent, because it does feel like you know the answer. No, we don't need help. We're fine, kind of fine, right?
Or like that's something you have to ask the owner. That's not someone I was supposed to hire.
Yeah, so but I did think about it in hindsight to answer South Beach Gary. The other question is also interesting, and that was, why did it take so long to come out?
I think it's a good question.
Here's the deal. Again, another hindsight one, especially based on today's Josh Allen conversation. I think you can ask him that. Like, why did you wait this long? Because could you have avoided a lot of the narratives that come out? And the reason why you could have asked him that is because he actually said, without even being provoked, that there are a lot of false narratives out there.
Yeah, totally. It seemed like that was the reason for the press conference.
So I think both are reasonable questions. And I'm going to actually throw a third one in there that I genuinely almost did ask, and I want to know if you guys think I should have asked. I told somebody prior to that I might ask this.
Oh, boy.
And then I told somebody post that I decided not to ask.
All right.
Now, there's some more caveats here. This wasn't a Brent one-on-one session with Trent. Like, I didn't get
Felt
every
like it. You got
question.
like 6 or 7
You
questions.
were
in there.
dominating, Brent. It felt like it.
Elbows in the paint.
I did have the elbows in the paint a little bit. But, I mean, there is a pace to a press conference where you can't just sit there and ask every question.
Disrupt the pace.
I think we all probably could have asked 10 questions at the news conference. But I really thought about asking this. And again, this is prompted, this was thought of before, but I think I could have got away with asking it because of what he said about false narratives. Do they have a mole or a rat in the building?
It's an interesting question because there's a chance that Trent confirms it for you, but how likely is that? Like, how likely is he to stir up more drama as he's giving this presser to
But you've been critical of this before. It's not my...
No, you're right.
It's not my job to determine how likely it is.
Totally. You allow him to answer the question. It's certainly a story. If there is, I don't know what help. I just don't know how that helps with the accountability.
Kasey, what do you think? You think we got to get anything out of it?
Yeah, you wouldn't get nothing out of it. Good question. I mean, I think there's.
Why do you feel it's a good question? Out of curiosity, like what about that question lights you up a little bit?
Because I think there is a real answer, but you just won't get it.
Because I think it's the possibility of movie-like drama existing in real life that makes it feel like it would be a good question. But even if he goes, yeah, you know what? I think we do have one.
That'd be sick.
But then what?
I don't know, but Brent better do something. Follow up. Grab the mic back.
Who?
I much
would
would have
say Trevor has a concussion.
Yeah,
I much would have preferred the question of why did you choose to wait 18 days to address this?
Yeah, and I think those questions are all pertinent. Here, you know what I chose? I'll be very transparent with you guys.
Thank you,
and
Brent.
I told these people this. I said I think it's a bit unfair question. Was my thought to ask if there's a mole or a rat in the building?
Why do you feel it's unfair?
Well, that was my thought going in. Coming out, I don't know if I felt as strong about it.
Changed his mind.
He did.
Well, I did.
It's fence sitting.
I did in part. No. I did in part because
educating himself.
No, not educating myself. Based off what he said, because again, unprovoked, he said there are false narratives.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Educating yourself.
For it.
You heard an answer, and it informed your opinion a little bit more.
Yeah, and I kind of had already locked into
by the way,
I'm probably not going to do it.
That's how interviews are supposed to go. That's how questions are supposed.
Oh, yeah.
You start off with your list. That's fine. You got a baseline there, just in case there's nothing really to talk about. But the reality is, you're supposed to listen to what he's saying and then build off of those answers with him.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt there was something about it. You know, I always say, if you hesitate, don't go. There was something about the idea of that question I didn't like. I was like, I don't know. This feels TMZ-ish to me, or this feels interrogation. Like these are news conferences. These are not law.
That's fair.
Interrogations.
One of the reasons you got an A- instead of an A+ because you didn't make any accusations when you were at the press conference, as we heard the day before you're really supposed to. But I do the reason I like the why did you wait 18 days question is because if he goes, well, there were false narratives out there I wanted to address.
What are they?
You could say, well, did somebody ask you to address these false narratives, or was that your decision? If it was your decision, do you feel like you need to wait for false reports to confirm things for the franchise or the team or like there are ways to get him to account for his mistake, which is really, I think, what not just you guys were charged with doing that day, but what the fans wanted. Granted, I know you feel like the fans wanted to hear him retire or quit or just whatever, but honestly, we're talking about the accountability league and the accountability activity. I'm here to answer for what happened this year, at least my part in it.
So the more I think about that today, though, and I think it's less to do with Trent, though, and that's why I come around with I kind of wish I asked it. It's not necessarily about Trent if you have a rat or a mole in the building. You
could also ask that question without the rat mole word, which is bad connotation. You'd be like, do you feel like there's someone in the building leaking stories to the national media that aren't true?
I wouldn't even say national media. I think local
however you phrase it. But then he could say, I don't think it's in the building. I do think it's in the building, and then build off of there.
Yeah.
Because if it's not in the building, then you're looking at some of the alumni going, maybe it's one of you guys.
But so someone brought it up to me today in the context of if you own a business, right? If you own like a decent-sized business and you have leaks coming out of there about stuff going on in your thing, and I know that doesn't catch like sports radio news or headline news or whatever else, but that's like, I guess what the colleges would call almost lack of institutional control, right? You don't have control over your operation if you've got people undermining the operation from within. And so the more I think about the idea of that question in whatever context we want to put it, whether it's for Trent, Doug, Shad, whoever, I think the Jags have an issue here, because if they are going to tell us they are aligned and nothing's splintered, which Trent tried to do and then kind of threw everybody under the bus, but we haven't heard Doug's side, we haven't heard Shad's side, but let's just assume that's the way they're going to go, then I believe they really do have an issue, because you have somebody out there that's pushing stuff out, narratives out, that seemingly are close enough to the point to get to Pete Prisco and say he's retiring, or whoever else and say this is going on and that's going on, and painting everything with a negative spin. It feels problematic to me because they're undermining what you are trying to accomplish, be on the same page altogether. Because I will tell you this, from a player perspective, they hear this outside noise stuff. Now, I don't think they know a lot about going on, how many people really care about it, but if we run into a player, and this has happened many times in the past, they'll be like, what's happening? Like, what's going on? They think we know more than, and sometimes we do.
Yeah.
More than them. Past player, present player, whatever. So, like, you'll get that response sometimes. Occasionally, this isn't every time, but you'll get a text, be like, what's going on? Which is wild to me. But to me, that speaks like, I don't know if that's a Shad problem, Trent problem, Doug problem, all three problem. But if they really are on the same page, and this kind of information over the last couple of weeks is coming out about one of their football leaders, that's a problem. Now, have they addressed it internally? Do they need to speak about that at a news conference? I don't know. But I do think that's a problem from a big picture business standpoint, that somebody in there, and maybe multiple people, are undermining and rooting against you internally. And this was definitely the case under Urban.
Yeah.
Right? There were people that would have loved to get Urban out of there. And rightfully so. You might want to give them a raise, those folks that helped make that happen. But that's where this eventually gets to, I think, or can get to. I'm not saying it will get to that, but it can. And there's just been enough stuff over the years. You're going to have leaks. That's what happens. It's the nature of it. People love to talk. You're going to have rumors. Sometimes they're going to be right. Sometimes they're going to be wrong. But if we're correct in thinking that some of this stuff that came out over the last few weeks is one of the motivations for Trent Baalke to even get up there and speak, and before he even asked about any of that stuff, he brought it up in his first statement that these are false narratives, that it's in his head that much, that it's in his mind that much, and he's reading and thinking about it that much. To me, that's undermining what you're trying to accomplish. Right or wrong. I don't know who's in the right or wrong. I'm just saying that's a problem. Like, I would look at that as I'm shot. I'm like, we got to figure that out. We got to address that. We need to be on the same. Whose fault is that? Are they right? Or the Shad and, Trent and Doug need to figure out what's going on. Get control of the organization in that sense. Let's be honest. I don't think some of the leaks to Dilla or whoever else over the years has still been figured out. Is it a bad thing, a good thing? Is it factual, not?
Dude stole like how many $1 million for him and they didn't know?
But he was the guy in charge of knowing.
He was charged with knowing.
It was a little more of a cool crime than that.
I'll just say when you throw that in, it's not necessarily the most buttoned up situation that's happening down there.
Yeah.
But I think this is a nature where you're going to get a lot of leaks, and we're not in every market. We don't know what stuff being said in the fan base, whatever else. and the national guys will usually get something here or there, and it might blow up. Maybe a Josina Anderson says something like she did when the Mike Caldwell's team got fired. Somebody said something about the wrong guys got fired. It was somebody else's fault, right? You'll get some of that. I understand that. But when you get 2 or 3 weeks of it, and the one that really gets me is the retirement one, because Pete's a credible guy, and obviously he's very well connected, and he's got a bigger voice, and to go out and say this isn't just social media stuff. That was a bigger voice. And I just believe we talked about this the last couple of days, if we're contemplating any kind of retirement, that's a very small circle that knows.
Yeah.
That's not a loud thing you're walking up and down the hallways and they're putting in meetings.
Yeah, you're not telling the janitor that you're thinking about retiring.
Like, I think Trent this week had damage control or a major problem on his hands the last couple of weeks about this retirement stuff. Because if he genuinely was contemplating retirement, somebody in his small circle of people put that out there. And I got to believe if I'm him, I'm trying to figure out who the hell that is.
I'd agree.
And if it's not right, then that's almost a bigger problem. Because now they're painting a picture that's totally wrong. And
but if
looks like they're going after him.
If it's not right, though, it might not be from your circle. If it's definitely right and you know only 4 people know, it's definitely from your circle.
Well, maybe an original leak was from the circle, but the leak to the media may not be from the circle. Like, you can have a small circle that knows this information from like a sit down or a conference call that tells somebody else, and then they're the leak.
Yeah. Well, and there's one other theory here.
It was him.
Well, Trent put it out because if he was going to get fired or something like that, at least he'd have this to fall back on. I was retiring anyway.
But why bother if you're not trying to get another job? Like, why bother worrying about image control?
How many times do I talk about ego when it comes to
fair?
Ego, man.
Would you want to be fired or just retire?
Well, nobody wants to be fired, right?
But if you're in that position where you can retire and it makes sense.
Well, then I think that's a conversation between Shad and Trent, where Shad goes, I think we're done here, and Trent goes, okay, and maybe. Because you see that all the time where the employment relationship is over and the employer allows the employee to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's high-level jobs, like a general manager like that, where they decide to resign or walk away, when we all know that's code word for corporate firing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of paranoia in the league, though, where he's like 5 out of 6 losses in a row. I might get fired. Hey, just throw this out there a little bit, because at least say, I was thinking about retiring anyway. If we do part ways, get that out there before any rumors of maybe being fired.
Yeah.
Like, he might just misread the situation.
I'm just not buying it.
Bro,
I'm not telling you
scout some
should buy
college players instead.
I'm just
orchestrating all this, man. Scout somebody.
Well, I'm not insinuating he did that.
I know. I'm just
saying that's an option.
And I'm saying if that's an option, just get a bigger center.
Well, that's about as big an option as, like, does he really have a burner account? I mean, come on.
Hey.
Like, it might, but
you never know.
But it certainly seems like somebody in the building has one. Or somebody close, if you were in the burner account.
Or it's
stuff.
Photoshops.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's
the
just
recovery email thing. Like, someone's got to double check that.
Listen, I'm not going to talk about every single thing that comes out. Like, I think that's a dangerous thing to do. But the bottom line is stuff comes out. And
more now than ever before.
Yeah. So anyway, I chose not to ask that question, although I did think about it a lot, and I thought about it more today, and it kind of does make sense. Like, you've got to forget about the answer to it. The question and answer doesn't matter. The reality is they've got to be asking themselves that kind of stuff, or I think they should, to run a good shop, to run a good operation, to trust. Listen, trust is a part of this lockstep stuff. You can't go side by side with somebody you kind of trust. You got to fully be there.
The more I think about the mole question, I'm liking it a little bit more.
Ooh.
Just because Trent said this is false narrative.
Yeah, so he set the table.
That implies made up report.
Yeah.
So the question is absolutely valid to go, okay, who? Who made the report? A coworker or a media member? Who are you blaming? Because you're telling me it's a lie. I would love to hear his opinion on that. And like, that's where I don't know what it helps or hurts, but it is an interesting story.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those three things. South Beach Garrett brought up a couple, I think, valid questions that would be interesting response. I don't know if you'd get what you want out of them.
I don't like the EVP question, not to Trent.
Yeah, I think it's more of a shot question.
That's the worst of the three.
But the 18 days.
Best question out of the three.
So South Beach had the best and worst question of the three?
I'm saying he gave 3. I'm ranking the 3.
So Brent's is second.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. How would he have answered the 18-day one?
I doubt it was. I was mad chilling.
Well, you know what he'd hide behind in the 18 days? Well, we made a defensive coordinator change. It'd be that.
But how's that? I don't understand.
Waiting
how you
until
hide.
you find your person. Is that what you're saying?
But I don't understand how you hide behind that when that decision is a decision worthy of getting in front of people and discussing.
Well, we were busy with interviews.
No, not good enough.
Well, I get it. I'm just saying that's what they. I'm predicting that's what he would say.
Okay, so like you were busy with interviews. Tell us. What have you learned from your interviews? Like, give us, what was it that kept you for 18 days? Let us share in the wealth of knowledge, please.
The one thing they weren't busy with is calling Josh Allen's representation.
Accurate. Or renegotiating or extending Trevor. Accurate.
Aaron would either break every story or set the place on fire and get fired immediately.
I would be hated by everyone in that room.
It's been a great week of like journalism.
I'd be hating everyone in that room because I would want to ask the follow-ups on their lame one-part questions.
Just give him a mic. He'll only talk.
Yeah, but see, I don't think you give enough credit to that part. Like, you just don't get follow-ups.
You got to scream at the guy. This is where Casey's point is accurate on me, by the way.
There's a certain dance that happens here.
I get it.
Hold on, I want to hear this part. Go ahead.
No, because you're like, oh, Aaron, you see if he asks those questions. There's nothing scary about asking a question at a press conference. It's not like I've never done something like that before. But to the point where I'm sitting here going, oh, you got to follow up on every question. Yes, I understand there are there's etiquette, so to speak.
Yeah.
Between the people who have jobs on the line who are there asking questions, they're doing a job too. Like, you don't got to elbow everyone out of the way. There are already some people who do that. It's not good form for the industry. That being said, when the job's not getting done, the job's not getting done.
Gotta yell at the guy.
I get so humored by the responses on social media about like the whole, are you guys going to ask the tough questions? Are you guys going to, they're so afraid that they might lose their credential.
No, this is nonsense. This is nonsense.
I love that one. I say this to people. I say it to you guys. I think the Jags, my 15 years here, the Jags have been terrific at that. You say some things that probably they don't like. And I've never had a phone call, and I've never heard of anybody else really having a phone call about what was said.
Over a decade ago, with a different regime, I had a slightly different experience.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I have not had that.
Really?
Yes.
And Brent asked a question about dude being on drugs. Didn't even get a call?
Tremendous question. That's a Brent Hall of Fame question.
Oh, yeah, it's the
banner.
banner.
They're about done with Matt Jones.
It's the standard.
It's the standard.
I want to hear about the phone call Aaron got.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I'll tell you later. Cool. All right, we will. We got to predict these games coming up. We can't get away from the Jags.
There are games coming up?
Yeah, we got to. We'll do it when we come back on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
A few scattered showers, perhaps even a rumble of thunder into this evening, then very warm again overnight as temperatures only drop into the 60s. And a partly sunny and warm Saturday. It'll be breezy with record or near record highs between 80 and 85. From the CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax First Alert Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed.
The January weather has been fluctuating, those temperatures dipping down in the evenings and mornings. Is your heating system safe to use? The team at Bold City Heating and Air specializes in system revitalization and optimizing your system so it runs safe and at peak efficiency. Schedule your winter system checkup for only $49 at boldcityac.com. Bold City Heating and Air can help you save hundreds of dollars on your energy bill too. Get the checkup, save money, and make sure your AC unit is safe for all the weather conditions. Schedule online at boldcityac.com.
The Gun Show is back at the Maxwell Snyder Armory on Normandy Boulevard this Saturday and Sunday. Buy, sell, trade, and browse a huge selection of guns, knives, ammo, and more. Doors open at 9 a.m. $10 to enter. See you at the Gun Show.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Kinetico softener and drinking water system. Kinetico's twin tank, non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. This month, you can get 50% off a Kinetico K5 drinking water system with a purchase of a Kinetico Premier Series softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Kinetics water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Kinetics dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
ESPN 690 is home for the Florida Sportsman Fishing Show hosted by Captain Rick Riles. Tune in every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. to find out what's biting now. Fishing so fresh, you can almost smell it.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Every 40 seconds, a child is reported missing. Find the Children is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping find missing kids. You can be a part of their mission by donating your unwanted car. Call 1-800-294-0222. You'll receive the maximum tax deduction, and we provide fast, free pickup. Call 1-800-294-0222. Donate your unwanted or unused car. Call 1-800-294-0222. This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Okay, everyone, gather round. It's time for corny jokes about passing the torch.
The team at Kirian's Welding was fused together solid.
Thanks for all the late nights and early shifts.
But double retirements mean the crew must bond with some certified new hires.
You've both gone the extra millimeter.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
God, I'm so stressed. It's a brand new year and our business is busier than ever.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Get the appliances you need right away at Lowe's. Explore the largest assortment of brands you trust, like Whirlpool, Samsung, and LG, in-store or online at the best values. Plus, take advantage of our everyday financing offers on top items, from refrigerators to laundry pairs. And there's more. Get your new appliances delivered or installed quickly at your convenience. Because Lowe's knows appliances. Lowe's knows home improvement. Subject to credit approval.
Hey, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. Did you know you can watch our radio show? Yeah, video of a radio show. Just search ESPN 690 Jacks on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or follow me on Twitter at Brent A.S. Jacks. Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690. All right, I really just want to, he printed out this paperwork. We got to get through some of this stuff.
Well, I got tweets too. You want to do those too?
Yeah, how fast can we go? It's a conference championship game facts.
Oh, okay.
Well, we already know the one with Patrick Mahomes, right? 6 in a row into the AFC championship game. Unbelievable. Lamar Jackson win MVP this year. Patrick Mahomes won it last year. Third matchup between the last two MVPs in playoff history. You like that?
That's pretty crazy.
It's a little surprising there's not more.
Right?
What do we got? Jared Goff versus Brock Purdy. First playoff matchup in NFL history between QBs drafted first and last in the draft. Now, that makes sense.
Okay, but also, is this the first time the guy drafted last in the draft was the starting QB in the championship game?
It might be the first time.
Yeah, so it's an easy stat there. Okay.
That is an easy one. Well, Lamar Jackson has won 4 straight starts by 14-plus points.
I think it's going to be another blowout, by the way.
Mahomes has lost 4 starts by 14-plus points in his career.
How many of those this year? Got to figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know. Mahomes even has more conference championship starts, 6, than he has 14-point losses.
That's so insane.
Christian McCaffrey has a chance to stop the "you can't win a title with a great running back" talk. He can be the first running back to win a rushing title and make the Super Bowl since Sean Alexander in 2005.
Wow, 20 years.
How about that?
Wow.
And is he really a running back?
Yeah. I understand he's not rushing for 1,700 yards, but he runs at a good clip.
They do, but Casey, they do stuff, and why doesn't anybody else do this? They'll line him up, even with the quarterback in a shotgun, but out over like the tight end.
Yeah, they do some of that.
It's just some weird stuff like that.
Yeah, whatever works.
But I don't feel like anybody else does that.
Nobody else has that guy.
Well, he is that guy, but like Jahmyr Gibbs can be that guy, or like a Bijan Robinson. Like
both those guys lined up on the outside at some points this year, but not in the way that you're talking about.
I would say give it time. They're rookies.
You know what I'm saying, right? That's a weird alignment. I don't see that. I don't even know what they operate out of. I don't watch the X's and O's that much, but it's just a wild thing to see. And that's why I don't like label. He's not like a true running back. They just put him in space and say, give me the ball. However I can get it to you in space.
272 carries. How do you guys feel about that number?
That's a good number. It's a running back.
That's McCaffrey.
I say this all about McCaffrey because you can do everything. It's just not your traditional running back to me, but he actually is a terrific downhill runner.
And a tremendous receiver.
Terrific downhill runner.
Bro's just good.
You know what I like about him is that
he's good.
He feels like he feels Jordan-esque when they used to talk about how Jordan played defense. Jordan was defensive player of the year some years, but he also took possessions off on defense to conserve energy for offense when he thought he needed it.
Yeah.
And so I see that with McCaffrey sometimes where it's like, okay, it'll be this kind of run, and then when it's 3rd and 1, it will be like Derrick Henry kind of run. He knows the situation, knows when to gas it up, knows when to get it in that extra gear, which I think makes him terrific. Let's see. Top 2 scoring defenses in the NFL. Do you know who they are? Let me help you. The Ravens and the Chiefs. If you're wondering why they're here, it's not because of their quarterbacks. It's in part because of their quarterbacks. That's pretty crazy, isn't it?
You just mentioned Michael Jordan. This next one brings him up again.
Michael Jordan. Mahomes is ring blocking like Jordan did to Patrick Ewing.
For years.
Yeah, Barkley, Malone, and John Stockton as well.
Years.
Mahomes has won 5 straight playoff starts versus a murderer's row of QB talent. Josh Allen, Tua, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, and our own Trevor. First QB in playoff history to win 5 straight starts, all versus QBs under age 28. That's why you should hate Patrick Mahomes.
Don't you also, though, feel like in 2023, there are a lot more young quarterbacks advancing deep into the playoffs than we've ever seen?
Well, we've said this. It's been a big mantra of mine over the last 2 years. I think the quarterback position is being played at a greater clip than ever before.
And a younger personnel.
And because of that, younger.
Yeah.
We have more of them. Maybe not as many as we thought because some have fizzled out a little bit, but more of them. Anything else catch your attention, or should I just keep reading off this?
I mean, Lamar Jackson, first quarterback to lead his team in rushing yards during the regular season and to start a conference title game as the quarterback. Not that it's surprising to anyone who knows Lamar Jackson, but it just goes to show how awe-inspiring, amazing what Lamar is doing on a regular basis throughout his whole career is, and now he's taking it even further. What about the 49ers are a perfect 5-0 in Brock Purdy's starts this year versus the NFC playoff field. They beat the Cowboys, Bucks, Eagles, Rams, and Packers. A win versus the Lions would mean a clean sweep with an exclamation point on San Francisco's NFC title. I don't think there's any question. I think the Niners roll against the Lions. I think the Ravens roll against the Chiefs, especially now that Thuney is out. Is it Thuney or Thuney?
Whatever you want.
All right. Well, he's out. He's an important player for the offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs. Pacheco is a little dinged up, but he's going to play. I just think that there are too many weapons on the Ravens and too much defense.
I just said something to you guys. I think it's a wild game. All those stats are crazy. AFC, NFC, we have some fantastic storylines. But I thought about this, and I said to you in the break, you were like, and then I got you coming around on it.
Okay.
I don't know if we've seen too many, and I don't know how, maybe we have seen some, but I don't feel like we've seen too many, and I don't know if we'll see too many more guys, drafted players like Lamar Jackson. And what I mean by that is there was a lot of hype coming out on Lamar Jackson. There was also a lot of concern coming out about Lamar Jackson. You had the kind of idiotic view, especially now, of a guy like Bill Polian who said he should be a receiver, to really where does he fit on the pantheon of how good he's going to be. He was somewhat of an erratic passer in college, et cetera, et cetera. There's some things out there that gave you pause. Also knew he was a brilliant athlete. 31 picks go by, and all of a sudden the Ravens come jumping back in, and they say, you know what, we're going to take a spin at this. And they do. And they're like, well, you know what, that's not a bad idea by the Ravens to do that. 32, a little less risky spot. If it works, you get that extra fifth year. Like, pretty smart play. But everybody's like, okay, we'll see. I don't think everybody criticized the pick. I don't think the 31 other teams were like, oh, can't believe they just did that. But what they also did was kind of built a plan around it about how to use him, the best way to use him, the best way to elevate his game. And they committed to it. And that's where I think the 31 other teams were unwilling to do. I don't think they were going to do that. So I kind of liken it, and this is where it's going to go a little crazy, so don't drive off the road, to like,
oh boy,
to like the Tim Tebow pick.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because Tebow was a lot like that. People are like, I want to pick this guy because I think this could be magic if it works, but I don't really think it's going to work. And I'm not saying it from a ticket sale or a iconic nature or whatever, however, from a marketing standpoint with Lamar and Tim. I'm just saying there were things you had to do to Tebow's game for the Denver Broncos and Josh McDaniels to build around to his strengths.
Yeah, you can't just plop him into a pro set offense. Yeah.
Now, listen, the Tebow thing overall didn't work. The Lamar Jackson thing is working. But I can't really find another quarterback that I think, while they really like changed everything or a lot of things or the way, the approach to cater to him. Am I missing somebody? I mean, do you go back to a Michael Vick situation? Do you go all the way back to like a Randall Cunningham?
I feel like both those guys were throwers who could run. That's not necessarily Lamar.
Well, that's not how he was built. What we've learned is he can, and he is, and he can do all that.
He's developed into one, yeah. But I always remember Michael Vick as a guy with a rocket arm who was the fastest on the field.
Yeah. So I don't know who I'm missing in all that. There might be some other ones. But
like a Justin Fields, maybe one of those guys.
Yeah,
not
I don't
that
think
you don't
so.
have to change it the way you changed it for Tebow, but you can't run the same offense with Justin Fields that you're running with Kirk Cousins.
I don't know. I don't get that vibe that you can't.
You're not pocket passing with Justin Fields. You got to move this guy around.
Well, you can run it, but it's probably not best suited.
Okay, yeah.
Like Fields is probably better suited in something you designed specifically for him, where he's running like at times like a quarterback power because he's big enough to do so.
And you're taking advantage of his tools. Yeah.
And he's fast enough to get outside at times. He could run the Kirk Cousins system. It's probably just better off if you totally revamp whatever you're running, whatever Trubisky's system was.
Well, it seemed like Eberflus and Getsky tried to make him a pocket passer early on this year, and it was ugly.
It was dumb.
It was awful until they let him open up the playbook and play some of that playground, and then suddenly the Bears are winning games by big scores.
Yeah, accentuate the positive. I think a little bit of that semantics. I think he could have fit into a lot of offenses, and then you would have grown the playbook around him. I'm not sure they said that about Lamar. I'd have to go back and think. I don't think they said that about Tebow. I think that was some of the concerns. That's where I'm going at. But really, the bigger part of this is because of Lamar's success and what they did do to take the chance to also build around and to see the fruits of their vision, will we see it more often? Will we see teams say, this guy is such an incredible athlete, or he has such great parts of his game that overshadow the possible deficiencies of his game, and we can make this work.
We'll see what happens with Jalen Daniels.
Is he in that boat?
I mean, he's pretty close. He's not Lamar. I'm not sitting here saying that, but he won the Heisman because he was throwing it all over people and running all over people a little bit. So I don't think it's that extreme as Lamar. I don't think he's going to be that guy that Lamar has become. But you're also, I think, if it's Washington who ends up with that pick and they pick him over Drake May, I think if you put him in the system that Sam Howell was just in, where it was let's throw it around a little bit, that ain't going to work.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you. It's an interesting time because I don't think you can play the position without being mobile. So, like, that's not the thing. I'm not talking about just a guy that can run. I'm talking they had like a real plan for Lamar Jackson when they drafted him, and they committed the organization to it. And I think Denver did too a little bit. They didn't just try to plug him in with Tebow.
Won a playoff game, Brent.
He did win a playoff game.
Won.
And so some of the things they accentuated, though, it kind of worked. Now, some of the Tebow magic worked a little bit too down the stretch of games, but
I just kind of remember a lot of lowlights from Tebow's time in Denver where they forced him a little too much to be a quarterback, and it did not look good.
That's facts. Yeah.
No, well, I think you're right. I think it didn't work. It didn't end up working. But Lamar's an example. And again, this might be it's the closest thing I could come to in my mind.
What about RG3 when they started doing the Wildcat en masse?
I thought about that. He just didn't play long enough.
Yeah, maybe not a big enough sample.
No.
Another guy, by the way, they tried to convert to receiver.
Really? I don't remember that.
Along with Matt Jones. Moral of the story. Matt Jones should have played quarterback for the Jaguars.
And they should have catered around his quarterbacking skills and not his receiving skills.
And not his off-the-field antics.
If he was the quarterback, would you have asked him if he was on drugs?
I got a feeling if he was quarterback, he would have been long gone before I got there to ask him that question.
That's a fair point, Brent.
We'll put a bow on the show, and we come back with a couple of picks on these big games, and I think we have a tweet, too. We got to dive into that tweet you pulled.
Okay.
Oh, good.
No, we got to cross that off the list.
All right, you got it.
We filled this paper sheet off. That's done.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back on ESPN 690.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet, now open in St. Augustine. With stores in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra, it's been Underwood's business to have what she wants since 1928.
Here we grow again. Terry Norvell here from the Young and Norvell Show, announcing our new expanded hours as we are now on weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's right. You now have a standing lunch date with me and my broadcast partner, former Gators basketball star and current SEC network analyst Patrick Young, every weekday for 2 solid hours from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on ESPN 690. You supply the lunch. We provide the most compelling sports talk in town. Find out for yourself weekdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Catch the Young and Norvell Show on ESPN 690.
Start the year with a new or used vehicle at Nimnick Buick GMC. New year, new truck. There are trucks, and then there's the truck, the GMC Sierra. I love mine, and you can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierra 1500s and enjoy rates as low as 0.9% APR financing. Try a Terrain or Acadia with rates as low as 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers. Used car? Well, try the Car Bravo program. Nimnick certifies all makes and models. NimnickBuickGMC.com or the showroom off Phillips Highway. GMC. We are professional grade.
Hard Rock Bet presents Legal in Florida.
You can bet the game on Hard Rock Bet. No more betting inside your head. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Legal in Florida. It's safe, it's legal. We'll repeat that it is legal. Top rated sports book and it's the only one that's legal.
Get a no-regret first bet up to $100 when you sign up now. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 and over and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Hi, I'm Mike Lister, the founder of Talon Wealth and the host of the Guarding Your Nest Egg radio show. Like you, I love this country, and I'm very thankful for those that protect us along with our freedoms. That's why for active military and active first responders, if you decide to work with us, Talon Wealth isn't going to charge you any advisor fees. We're happy to explain all the details, but most importantly, thank you for your service.
Visit guardingyournestegg.com to find out more.
Advisory services through Talon Private Wealth and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Florida License D056341.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Kinetics softener and drinking water system. Kinetics twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. This month you can get 50% off a Kinetics K5 drinking water system with a purchase of a Kinetics Premier Series softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free. and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Kinetics water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Kinetics dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
ESPN 690 is home for the Florida Sportsman Fishing Show hosted by Captain Rick Riles. Tune in every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. to find out what's biting now. Fishing so fresh, you can almost smell it.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-363-4122 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-363-4122. That's 800-363-4122. What do you have to lose? Call 800-363-4122. Again, 800-363-4122.
Perfect Rack Billiards has a deal for you. 50-cent Wing Fridays during lunch. Get out of work early, get a head start on the weekend, or just take a lunch break. 11:30 until 3 p.m. on Fridays. Every Friday, Perfect Rack Billiards with 50-cent wings for lunch on Fridays. A perfect place to stop in Murray Hill, play some pool, play some darts, maybe some shuffleboard. Now, that's a heck of a lunch break. And get those 50-cent wings on Friday just to make it better. 11:30 to 3 p.m. on Fridays at Perfect Rack Billiards. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690. And you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. We got to check a box of a tweet.
That's always good. You know it's good content when we're doing it to check a box.
Oh, you got a bunch of them. We never got to.
We haven't got to them for days.
No.
Weeks. Borderline months.
But here's a tweet from hacking specialist Dove Kleiman. The alleged hacker, Dove Kleiman.
People don't like when you bring up his tweets.
Yeah, or the fact that he hacked the NFL Game Day guys.
Is that what happened?
Who I reached out to, and they didn't respond to me. Is that shocking to anybody? All right, fine.
What are you, 0 for 7?
No, we got, what's his name? The Wembanyama card guy from the Athletic.
Yeah, how was that?
We got that guy.
And by the way,
fine.
Ducky responded.
Yeah, well, no one was reaching out to Duck, so.
Oh.
Duck was a home run.
Duck is a home run.
It ended up working out.
Duck's made a lot of people money around
Diamond
here.
in the rough.
Shout out.
All right, Dove tweets this. He goes, most sacks this NFL season. You got TJ Watt, 19. Josh Allen, 17.5. Hendrickson, 17.5. Khalil Mack, 17. Then here are the corresponding contracts. TJ Watt, $112 million. Damn. You got Trey Hendrickson, $60 million due for a raise.
Feels like a deal, yeah.
You got Khalil Mack at $141 million. And then you got Josh Allen at 22.7 total.
Great deal.
free agent this offseason. Now we know the Jaguars want him back and that Trent Baalke eventually at some point before next season will pick up a phone and negotiate with somebody. What do we think that number will ultimately be for Josh Allen? Because I'm thinking the number's got to be somewhere up around $24 to $25 million.
What's
TJ Watt, 112.
That's over. Does it say the years?
No, but I can go find those.
No,
years
don't worry
for
about
you.
it. Don't worry about it.
Khalil Mack, 141.
Okay, we think like Watt's like in the 4-year range because that'd be
4
$30
to
million
6 or something like that. Yeah.
I'm stuck in my mind on Josh Allen's going to get like $26 million a year.
For how many?
I think these feel like they've been 4-year deals. Okay, so like the Rashad Gary, I think.
Yes.
Was
so that would be 104.
It's got to be more than
in
that.
total.
What was Gary?
Right around that.
Was it 104? Yeah, okay. And what about
Right
like
in there.
Montez Sweat? Right around that?
I think so.
Montez Sweat was 98.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right around that. So 104.
So Montez Sweat, 24.5 AAV.
Yeah.
Rashawn Gary, 24.
Yeah.
Mack,
So-
23.5. Crosby, 23.5. Chubb, 22.
Crosby just did his deal, right? 23 and a half? Like a year and a half ago or something?
It's a newer deal, yeah.
Yeah, 26. 26 for Josh.
26 puts him above Myles Garrett, who I'm sure
He's going to read
deal.
the word on this word that I got actually, maybe a little inside scoop,
Oh!
is that they're going to try to rip up that deal, and Myles, like that's what they'll
good for Myles.
Get reset it.
Where are you getting Browns breaking news?
Yes, we'll see if it happens. See if I'm right.
Joe Bosa, $27 million. Not really delivering on that number, if you ask me.
It's weird to call him Joe.
Joe, that's what me and the rest of the guys call him.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think 26. What do you say, Casey?
Between Myles and Joe.
Hey, let's pick up the phone and call the representation of Josh Allen.
I'll tell you what.
How's a deal for 4 years for $26 million a year?
I bet they take it from you. I don't know if your signature does anything, but they're like, "Well, take it." They hang up the phone.
It's a 904 number. It might be Trent.
Now there is a whole
Don't
world
count
of
on it.
space between T.J. Watt and Nick Bosa, or Nicholas as we call him.
Oh, sure. The other one gets shorter. The other one gets
Nicholas is $34 million.
Yeah, they ain't getting that.
Ain't getting that.
He's not getting TJ Watt money.
28. 26. That's a high number.
It's a high number.
But I think it's a fair number.
What about 25?
Whose side are you on?
Are you playing funny money?
I'm
in
just
that,
trying to be right.
Are you playing funny money in that you give him a big number this year and then next year it's
That might
like
be.
14 base with a nice bonus or something like that?
Well, I
so
think
you can
that
sign
part
somebody?
of it can be crafted. Like
Yeah.
that's the tricky part. To
Yeah.
But just
And then-
give him a call.
and
Do
then
you think Trent called today?
Oh, I doubt it.
That'd be weird. If you just can't.
You got to.
Hey.
How do you do it? Yes, sir.
I
Exactly.
saw the report.
I was just thinking about you. What report? No. I was just thinking about you.
I was always checking in
You know,
today.
I was just talking about you yesterday to a couple of friends in front of a microphone. This is so crazy.
Yeah, the 26 was definitely the day I was going to call.
Who's playing in the Super Bowl in a week, 2 weeks?
The Ravens and the Niners, just like the script predicted.
Lions, Chiefs.
What?
Both of them.
I will bet about that with you if you believe that I'll pay you money. Apparently, I don't pay you money either.
I don't believe you.
Oh, my God.
I kind of think Aaron's right, but I'm going to go. I do think the Ravens are going to win. I think they're just a better team.
I'm not arguing that they're
I
not
think
the better
Lions,
team.
I think the Lions' magic's going to go. So I'm going to go Ravens, Lions in the Super Bowl.
Give me the dogs.
Who wins?
Oh, that's for another couple weeks.
I was going to say, Ravens by 13 touchdowns if it's Ravens-Lions.
We might need to move that up to next
Why do you
week.
disrespect the Lions
They
like that?
stink, Brent.
That's for you,
Can't
Rich
even
Jones.
get their coordinators jobs.
That is wild.
Where's Jeff Risdon?
Have a good week, everybody. Weekend.
We need that guy.
We'll see you on TV on this weekend, and overtime coming up next on ESPN 690.
With stores in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra, Underwoods has the largest American Gym Society credentialed staff east of the Mississippi River.
Let's do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Do ball.
Have a good night, everybody.
This year, I resolved to have a whole new view in life.
Nice. So what are we talking? New attitude? Maybe new glasses?
Nope. New windows and doors from American Window Products.
new view. I see what you did there.
They're Jacksonville's oldest family-owned replacement window and door company. Great prices, selection, professional installation. They look great too. And you can save $250 off any entry door and free installation on 6 or more windows in January when you call 731-2247 or visit AmericanWindowProducts.com.
Thanks. I'll give them a look.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
When it comes to protecting your family and your property, there's one name in the home security industry that has stood the test of time: SafeTouch Security. For decades, SafeTouch has been and continues to be the leader in home security systems, offering the latest technology at the lowest price. SafeTouch offers 5 layers of defense for your home, giving you peace of mind whether you're home or not. The SafeTouch Security Yard sign lets everyone know this house is protected. Then there's the SafeTouch Perimeter Guard cameras, the two-way communicators, and the crash and smash technology, all controlled with an integrated app which can be used anywhere there's internet. With SafeTouch, you're never home alone and never away from home. These are state-of-the-art systems that you would expect to pay hundreds for. But right now, SafeTouch is offering their once-a-year deal which can save you up to 50% on your security package. Call 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license EF2000195.
Live from the Anajar and Levine Studios, Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
I'm Christine Lisi. Ravens ready to welcome back tight end Mark Andrews. He's been activated off injured reserve, giving quarterback Lamar Jackson back his favorite target for the AFC Championship game Sunday versus Kansas City. In the 7 games Andrews missed with an ankle injury, Baltimore's offense didn't really miss a beat thanks to second-year tight end Isaiah Likely stepping up, and the two of them could cause headaches for KC. ESPN NFL analyst Ryan Clark.
Now you can have Isaiah Likely on the field and Mark Andrews, which allows you to be bigger on the line, but there are also problems in the pass game. And so if you go with your bigger linebackers and people, they're going to get beat on the outside.
Chiefs running back Isaiah Pacheco and linebacker Willie Gay questionable on Sunday. Guard Joe Thuney is out. 49ers receiver Deebo Samuel no longer on the injury report, so he'll play against the Lions in the NFC title game Sunday night. NBA Mavericks will be without guard Kyrie Irving a second straight game tonight against the Hawks because of a sprained thumb. Atlanta guard Trae Young is available after passing concussion protocol. He's been out the last 2 games. Lakers forward Cam Reddish dealing with an ankle sprain, sidelined at least the next 2 weeks.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Commercial Insurance. It flexes to fit your business's needs. From quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options, Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Why let a plumbing company tear up your property to repair or replace your old cast iron pipes when Superior Plumbing and Pipelining's no-dig trenchless service can reline them in just 1 day? Request an estimate now at SuperiorPlumbingJacks.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-385-9302 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-385-9302. That's 800-385-9302. What do you have to lose? Call 800-385-9302. Again, 800-385-9302.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps
demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in your closet, the back of your closet. What am I doing here? Would you keep caviar in the back of your fridge with the ketchup and old milk? Yeah, I don't think so. So what happened to us? I mean, have you seen my label? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Sure, I never really fit you quite right, and one of my pockets is so small you can't even squeeze your hand into it. But it's all about the look. And I look good. I need to get back out on the scene so I can be seen. You know, going to fancy parties, getting expensive iced coffees, Sunday fun days, okay? So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve. Not on my watch, they say, as they leave their families behind to keep the rest of ours safe. As they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve, the therapists they need to walk again, the treatment they need to talk again, the lifetime of day-to-day help they need to live full and independent lives. When there's no more government funding, or a nursing home seems like the only option, or everyone says there's no hope for recovery, we won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Find out how you can do your part at findwwp.org.
Juice, Mom! Juice, juice, juice! Mommy, why are we going to the store? Mom, I want juice! Mom! Juice, juice, juice! Mommy! Juice, juice, Mom! Juice, juice.
Your child will have different needs at different stages of life, and that includes the car seat. That's right, the car seat. A car seat isn't one size fits all. You have to have the right seat based on your child's age, weight, and height. See, car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. But there's a website that gives you all the information you need, safercar.gov/the-right-seat. You'll find out about types of seats, when to have a seat rear-facing, when to switch it to forward-facing, when it's time for a booster seat, and when it's time for your child to ride in the back seat with a seatbelt. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart savings strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen.
Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? And now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds.
and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
we rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone.
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals, but I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
This, I had Brent doing a spot. So if you were on the stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch.
Your mouth was just moving.
Hello.
There we go. Your mouth was just moving.
Thank you, Amanda Kurtz. We figured it out.
Well, I just realized that I could hear you in the studio, but I didn't hear you in the headphones. So I looked down. I was like, oh, it wasn't in program.
I wasn't in program either?
No. Not just now. Like the first hello, when you first came in, first couple of words.
Gotcha.
And then I was like, oh, let me press this red button.
That's
but
on
then,
me.
You know, I don't know how you could tell that you weren't. Maybe you'll show me one day.
I can see it on the I can see it on the stream.
That you weren't.
There was no levels. Yes, sir.
Look at you.
Yeah.
A master at his craft.
Hey, you know what they say.
Huh?
You know what they say.
Like you're ready to graduate.
Hey,
from here.
That's what they say. Fingers crossed, my boy. Anyway.
Oh, boy.
We take you for the next hour, Overtime with Kurtz and Middleton, up until 7 o'clock. Wild week in Jacksonville. Coaches were hired in Jacksonville and beyond. GMs had press conferences, mostly just in Jacksonville, and then some of the teams that got eliminated from the playoffs because their season just ended. Why did the GM talk in Jacksonville? Well, because he hadn't yet, and it had been about 3 weeks, and people were starting to wonder. A press conference that may have left more questions than answers. A press conference that caught the attention of the representation of Josh Allen, saying, we ain't heard from Trent Baalke yet. But Trent Baalke sitting at the podium saying Josh Allen will be a Jaguar. They said, hold on a second. We ain't heard nothing. So an interesting week that follows the end of a very interesting, frustrating, annoying season for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We won't hear anything again for a while from the Jags. I don't know if that's a good thing, a bad thing, but I believe it is what it is. The Pro Bowl's coming up, the Combine, I guess, after that. But if it hadn't already been done and you hadn't already got to this point in your head, the disappointment of the 2023 Jacksonville Jaguars is officially over. You don't think so? Okay.
I'll knock on wood.
Okay, that's what that was.
I feel like as long as there's an NFL season,
there could still be disappointment.
Somehow the Jags, who haven't played in 8 months now.
Yeah, feels like it.
I feel like something could pop. So, I think that you're right, though. You're like 98%. I would jump on that. I would go on to Hard Rock and place a huge bet that you're right.
Don't do that.
The Jags can't disappoint anymore this season, like at all. They're done. I feel, I'm confident. I've talked myself into it. You're right, Casey. You're right.
Yeah, you never know. Something can always happen. And in Jacksonville, those things tend to happen more often than not. Teams that are not disappointed right now as follows: the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Detroit Lions. All still playing football. All will have the opportunity to play this weekend for the chance to go to Vegas to play in the Super of Bowls. Super Bowl. So what are we thinking, Brian? What are we thinking? Starting first with the NFC. The San Francisco 49ers. At times, we have knocked on these very tables and said it would take maybe multiple people to get hurt for the San Francisco 49ers to not win it. At the start of the season, way back in week 1, I remember when the Lions beat the Chiefs on opening night, and Brian Middleton sitting here and telling me how good the Lions were going to be near the top of the power rankings. And I said, man, if you don't calm down with the Lions. But here they are in the NFC Championship game. Great matchup. I think it's going to be a great football game. How do you see it playing out, Brian Middleton?
Well, I'm going to stick with my Super Bowl pick of the Detroit Lions getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And
you also have to figure out who's going to win it now because Buffalo cannot do that.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be tough. But, yeah, it'll be a good game. I think that the fact that you have a team in San Francisco who I think some would argue, really needs to win this game right here because if you can't do it now, like when can you do it? It's kind of like it has a Buffalo feel to a certain degree, like we were talking about the Bills last week with the Kansas City matchup. Like if you can't do it now, when you are the obvious favorites, even though we both think it's going to be a good game, when you have home field advantage, when you have the quarterback you think you need to lead this team on his last pick in the draft rookie deal, when you have your defensive player of the year on your squad leading a group of dudes who are a bunch of dogs with 9 Pro Bowlers, 7 All-Pros, something crazy like that, with Debo, who I guess he's going to play. He wasn't on the injury report, or it wasn't that he was going to be out. With the Christian McCaffrey, who for the most part has been healthy. Like, if you can't do it now, San Francisco, you can't do it. This group of people can't do it. And it may be the coach's fault at this point if you look at all of the talent and whatnot. But I think that there is a bit of a pressure situation, even more so for San Francisco, though all 4 of these teams are going to be under immense pressure because you're one step away. You are 4 quarters away from playing in the game that you've probably been dreaming about since you were 7 years old, 6 years old, whenever you first put on some pads and started your journey to CTE. You feel what I'm saying?
I do.
So, getting back to the original point, though, Detroit, I just like Dan Campbell, and I like their trajectory. And I just, there are certain teams who have great storylines, right? And I think that you could pull a great storyline for each one of these teams, and out of this conference championship weekend. But Detroit's is great for multiple reasons. You start talking about getting the first playoff win since, most people on earth weren't born yet. Mm-hmm. You talk about Dan Campbell, he was talking about some of the guys who were still on the team from the 0-16 squad. I was like, how is that possible?
How y'all didn't get cut?
Like, who's still on the team? Yeah. That's number one. You look at some of the this was interesting. Your former coworker, Jamel Hill, she was super down on Dan Campbell when he got the job in Detroit. And I won't rehash her tweets, but it was interesting because I was looking at some of it and I was like, boy, that's a great storyline in and of itself. Like, you can thumb your nose at people like, believe in me because I know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But overall, I just think I like the grittiness of both of these squads. I just think I'm kind of being more of a fanboy now because I want Detroit. I want that story. I want to see the winning train of Detroit go to the Super Bowl. Maybe it's because I used to have them on par with the Jags. I thought that Detroit and the Jags over the past 2 seasons especially, until things went terribly wrong for the Jags, I was like, these guys are kind of mirror images of one another. Terrible, 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 kind of okay, gets a head coach, though ours was more notable than Doug Peterson, but gets a head coach that can stabilize the franchise, apparently knows what they're doing. You go 9-8. They didn't make the playoffs last year, Detroit. We did. But then you go into this season with high expectations, and seemingly 11 weeks into the season, both teams were executing. That's when the Jags were 8-3.
Yep.
Then the bottom fell out. Anyway, Casey, long-winded answer to say I'm gonna go with Detroit. I wouldn't be surprised if San Francisco wins. I mean, I don't think anybody would be, but I'm gonna go with Detroit. I think they're gonna be able to pull something out of their hat on the road against the number 1 seeded San Francisco 49ers.
It's interesting. I agree with a lot of what you said. 100%, all of the pressure is on the San Francisco 49ers. This is a game they got to last year. This is a game that most people expected them to win last year if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt, and then Josh Johnson didn't get hurt, and then Christian McCaffrey was their quarterback at a time in that football game. They could not throw the football in this game last year because of injuries. So things have changed. Deebo Samuel, it looks like, I don't know if it's official yet, but it looks like will play in the football game. So they will be at full strength. All of those offensive weapons, Christian McCaffrey, who some consider or some would vote for to be the MVP of the sport, Brock Purdy, who continues to get it done, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel at full strength. This team on offense and defense, but for the time that we're talking right now, on offense is unbelievable. So yes, the pressure is on a guy like Brock Purdy to prove that he is the guy to be their quarterback. He's won a lot of games. He needs to win this one. The pressure is on a guy like Kyle Shanahan to take this team to the next level because they've gotten to this point. They've won games in the playoffs. They haven't won big in the playoffs. They had a lead in the Super Bowl that they didn't win to Patrick Mahomes that they should have. So all of the pressure is on the San Francisco 49ers. Defensively as well. A lot of names. That front is dangerous. But what makes this game interesting to me is San Francisco, whose front has been underachieving for the most part of the season. They bring in Chase Young. It's had its moments. It hasn't been fantastic. Nick Bosa's been pretty good. Don't get me wrong. I'll take him. But he hasn't been $30 million Nick Bosa. The linebackers are incredible, as you know. The secondary is questionable. So that's when I look at Detroit and I go, well, Detroit's offensive line is damn great. So if anyone's going to stand up and make those pass rushers have a tough day, it's what Detroit has up front. And we know Detroit wants to, they want to do both. So I guess I'll say play offense, but Detroit is more than happy to throw it around. Jamison Williams, I get it. It hasn't always been perfect, and a lot of it hasn't even been good. But this feels like a spot where Jamison Williams could shine in this football game because, again, the San Francisco secondary at times has been questionable. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you know what he's capable of. Big plays left and right. The tight end, Sam Laporta, it's a problem. So that part of this makes this game so interesting. I think Goff will have time because his offensive line is grown men that are very good. I think their receivers have the advantage in that matchup in the secondary. And I think this game, at the end of the day, comes down to which quarterback who you think is pretty good will take it to the next level. Right? There's a scenario, I think, very easily that on Monday, we're talking about the reason this game was lost was because Brock Purdy threw a pick here. Jared Goff threw the pick here. I don't think it's going to be because what's around them. You've got the playmakers. You've got the talent. Both teams have the offensive line. Both teams have a defense that can provide the push and can make plays. Will they, though, because the other team's offensive line is so good? So I think this comes down to Brock Purdy making the right decisions and Jared Goff making the right decisions. And I think that's a best-case scenario for, I guess, the NFL, because you want to make quarterbacks the superstars, right? You want to push the quarterback, the face of the franchise, all that stuff. Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, again, both very good. Both talked about at MVP candidates at a time this year. I don't know, though, if they're the face of their franchises. So I think not only is this a huge moment for, like, Detroit, who you documented, most people on earth weren't alive the last time they won a playoff game. Here they go. They've won 2 of them and have a chance to go to the Super Bowl, right? San Francisco, the fan base, the history of the team, the legacy, what's on the line in this football game. And then you sit here and say, they have enough around them, both sides. The quarterback will be the decider of what goes. That's perfect for the NFL, I think. And I don't know, Brian. I don't necessarily want to agree with you. I don't know if I don't think it's an emotional thing. I think it's just how I'm feeling. I think the Lions are going to get it done. And I can't believe I'm saying it. But I think there's a chance, and a good one, that the Detroit Lions are going to the Super Bowl. Ain't that something to say out loud?
The video game is real.
I believe it. I believe they're going to win and go to the Super Bowl.
Patrick Mahomes was like, okay, all right, calm down. Calm down. Which goes to a point that you brought up, and I promise you, and maybe it's Friday and we're a bit giddy. That's why we're giving each other props. Granted, the Philly take was off.
It was.
But at the time, it didn't seem off. But there's a real scenario. I know we're talking about the NFC in Detroit right now, but is this a real scenario where Patrick Mahomes is like, listen, I know you thought that Patriots dynasty was so far-fetched for ever happening again. I'm telling you right now, we coming. Mm-hmm. So, Detroit, I definitely think they can get to the Super Bowl, but really, whoever they meet over there, if they get there, it's gonna be an issue because this is the way that I would attack it. If they're facing Baltimore, well, Baltimore bullied them 38-6.
Mm-hmm.
Granted,
they did. It was early.
It was early, and they were on the road in Baltimore. But 38-6.
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay, but even then, if it's Kansas City, even with the deficiencies that we know that Kansas City has, I don't care how they beat Buffalo. We know they still got them, even though they may have improved. It's Kansas City. And now you asking me to bet against Kansas City for 4 quarters in the Super Bowl? Kansas City. So I'll have to wait and see. But, as far as this weekend, I'm going to go with Detroit. But it's crazy because San Francisco's like, all right, 40 points. This is going to be the Brock Purdy game right here.
It could be.
40-20.
It could.
San Francisco.
It very well could be.
Smiling and laughing halfway through the 4th quarter. Yeah, so.
Yeah, they could take their guys out. There's a scenario where that doesn't shock me. San Francisco is capable of it.
Dan Campbell versus Kyle Shanahan. Better coach. You need one game. Well, technically, yeah, you need one game right now.
I need one game?
You need one game, even though the rosters, you don't know who's going to be on your team, but, you know.
So, like, the obvious...
Is it?
Okay. No, it's not, because I'm not even going to pick what I'm going to say. But just I got to figure out how I'm going to get there. Most people, when hearing that question, would pick Shanahan.
Okay.
Maybe you just know the name, like if you're a casual fan. But you look at what San Francisco's done, all the games they've won, the Super Bowl that they went to, right? So that feels like the easy answer. But, damn, I saw the Lions lose every game not too long ago. And then they bring in this dude who cried on the podium, who was talking about biting kneecaps. And I'm thinking, he's got me thinking they're going to go to the Super Bowl this year. So this is how I would answer that. And it's not what you're looking for, but this is how I'd answer it. If I have a supremely talented team, Shanahan. If I don't have the more talented team, Dan Campbell.
Interesting. You don't think Dan Campbell's effect would take a supremely talented team even higher than?
I think it would, but that's where I say Shanahan X's and O's, it's just a wrap.
I got you. Yeah,
but I think if I need to play any card other than we're just more talented, I want Dan Campbell. And seeing what he can, for lack of a better term, cook up with the boys. Because there's something about Dan Campbell. It's wild.
He gives me, you remember the song White Iverson?
Oh, yeah, Post Malone.
Yeah. I call Dan Campbell White Tomlin. Because like how you just said, hey, he got me wanting to play. He got me hyped up.
Yeah.
I feel like, I could put some pads on. I could definitely accept that direct deposit from an NFL team.
Oh,
even a practice squad.
Whatever it takes. I don't even need a game check.
It feels the same way to me like Mike Tomlin. Well, I run through brick walls. Well, I wouldn't run through a brick wall. I'm just hyperbole.
I'd follow somebody for sure.
So, yeah, I think that's interesting because you said that on Monday it could very well be one or two decisions from the quarterbacks, which, yes, I agree with that sentiment. But also, it could just be game plan. It could be game plan or how you prepped, like in the game too. Not just prep, but in the game decisions. And to that point, maybe you give Shanahan the upper hand. I don't know what you would give as far as in-game adjustments.
I would give it to Shanahan.
So
I would. I think it's a great question. And I think you could go a lot of different ways with the question. And on the quarterback point, I just don't think we're in here talking about I don't think we're sitting here talking about they couldn't stop them, this and that, the refs, any of that. I think on Monday with this game, we're talking about what a game from both teams, but when it counted on third and this, on 3 different occasions, Jared Goff found his guy and Brock Purdy didn't. I just think that's how this goes. And maybe vice versa. Brock Purdy's the guy that makes the play. The final drive, I don't think this is a whoever gets the ball last wins type deal, like a Kansas City Buffalo type thing, because those defenses can play. Detroit's defense has stepped up all of a sudden. San Francisco, you know what they're capable of. I just think one of these quarterbacks is going to cement that I'm this guy. Detroit, pay me. Or I'm this guy, don't fool around with no Tom Brady rumors, no this, no that. I'm the guy in San Francisco, even though you picked me last. I just think that's what we get out of this football game. I hope that's the case because that means we got a good football game. When we come back, the Chiefs are very still alive, very much in it. The Ravens, though, look pretty damn good. We'll try to figure out who's going to win it coming up next.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690. A few scattered showers, perhaps even a rumble of thunder into this evening, then very warm again overnight as temperatures only drop into the 60s. And a partly sunny and warm Saturday. It'll be breezy with record or near-record highs between 80 and 85. From the CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax First Alert Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed.
God, I'm so stressed. It's a brand new year and our business is busier than ever.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast with a buck here, buck there. Here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-DO.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Are you tired of looking at your old grimy and mildewy bathtub, looking to replace it with a beautiful walk-in shower, but cash is tight? For as little as $89 a month, no payments for 12 months for consumers who qualify, remodeling loans can put you into a beautiful new walk-in shower in as little as 1 day. Our agents are standing by, ready to schedule your appointment with our design team at no cost and no obligation to you. Call 800-921-1403. 800-921-1403.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 68 or more panels of select OSB sheathing. Plus, save an extra 5% every day on eligible purchases when you use your Lowe's business credit card. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. 5% offer subject to credit approval. Exclusions and terms apply. See store at lowes.com/credit for details. U.S. only. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
Here's Ben and John Lupo, owners of Beard's Diamonds.
It's funny. My dad has sold people engagement rings, and now I'm selling their kids engagement rings, and anniversary gifts, and birthday gifts.
We're blessed with the relationships we've built over the years. We have no corporate bosses setting the price. The chain stores can't touch our prices. They just can't.
Check out our full inventory at beardsdiamonds.com, including the largest selection of GIA-certified diamonds and lab-grown diamonds. Anybody that steps foot in our store is automatically part of the Beards family.
Beard's Diamonds in the St. John's Town Center.
Are you curious about QC Kinetics? Let me tell you what we do.
That's Dr. Daniel Zuckerman, a medical director at QC Kinetics.
We treat people who have joint pain, and we use your body's healing properties, the things that you already have in you, in your blood, to heal your knee pain, your joint pain, your shoulder pain, your back pain. You have everything that you need in you already.
The same natural process that heals a cut on your finger also works inside your body.
And so what we do at QC Kinetics is take those healing properties, concentrate them down from your body, and put them where they need to go. We are the experts in regenerative medicine. That's all we do.
And best of all, there's no surgery, no downtime, or harmful drugs.
This is the future of medicine.
And your consultation is completely free. Call QC Kinetics, 904-274-5522. That's 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
When the big story breaks, Action News Jax gives you an instant advantage with the biggest team of experienced reporters, giving you more details because we get more details with live, fast-changing updates as they happen. So you know the whole story, streaming on every screen, so you're informed no matter where you are. There's a reason we're #1 for breaking news, because if it's happening now and in your neighborhood, it's on Action News Jax. Local coverage you can count on. No payments for 90 days and just $500 down can get you behind the wheel of a brand new Toyota. And with the help of Arlington's pre-approval program, that new Toyota will be sitting in your drive sooner than you think. Plus, every new Toyota comes with the peace of mind of Arlington's lifetime warranty. That's unlimited time and miles. Shop in person, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com today. Terms and conditions apply. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/new offers for details.
Hi, I'm Fontaine Lemaitre, representing Community Hospice and Palliative Care. We are so grateful to the players for its long-standing support of our organization, especially Community Peds Care. 46 days to go to the players.
Are you passionate about addressing health disparities and improving the health of your neighbors? You could be the next American Heart Association First Coast Leader of Impact. Join the 2023 class of changemakers and compete to raise funds for life-saving research and inspire lasting change in our community. The campaign kicks off on World Heart Day, September 29th. Nominate yourself or another local leader by contacting AHA First Coast at heart.org today.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it.
And now get a Samsung Galaxy A14 included when you buy an extended Silver Unlimited plan. Find us at straighttalk.com. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. Online only, excludes taxes and fees.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on Carol. She's more focused on hitting a high note than the car in front of her. Why pay a rate based on anyone else? Get one based on you with DriveWise from Allstate.
Not available in Alaska or California, subject to terms and conditions. Rates are determined by several factors, which vary by state. In some states, participation in DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating. While in some states, your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Generally, safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The Gun Show is back at the Maxwell Snyder Armory on Normandy Boulevard this Saturday and Sunday. Buy, sell, trade, and browse a huge selection of guns, knives, ammo, and more. Doors open at 9 a.m. $10 to enter. See you at the Gun Show.
I'm Mark Anajar. I'm Glenn Levine. I'm Ellie Anajar. Together, we're Anajar and Levine. If you've been hurt in a car crash, we'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve.
Call Anajar and Levine for your free consultation. 1-800-747-FREE.
Main office, Jacksonville.
Hey, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. Did you know you can watch our radio show? Yeah, video of a radio show. Just search ESPN 690 Jacks on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or follow me on Twitter at Brent A.S. Jacks. Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690.
I don't know. Maybe. Overtime with Kuhrts in Middleton. ESPN 690. Oh, the championship rounds, Brian. You forgot the belt.
No, I thought about it about halfway through after Amanda said there was no sound. I was like, I'm not going to get it.
Okay.
I think I'll have one more shot at it at the very least, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. One more shot at the championship rounds.
1 to 4 more shots? I don't know. It's just.
More on that next week.
You never.
Overtime with Kuhrts.
Oh, boy.
Holy smokes.
Other people tell it 8 more shots.
Hey, man, I just work here.
I need a group chat.
We do not.
You teach people group chats.
We do not need a group chat.
CC people on stuff because people are not in the know.
I'm in a group chat with people that work here. And it is a wild place to be at times.
Hey, you know Huff?
Sure.
You know Huff?
I do.
I respect Huffle, because every time there's a group chat, when there's like a... Every time there's a group chat, yo, he exits the group chat. Yo, no, that's so funny. But I'm like, yo, I respect you. He is like, I don't got time to be playing with y'all, man.
Just imagine. I know this doesn't make sense to anybody who doesn't work here. Just imagine, like, you're important, like, the highest boss that you've ever talked to at your workplace.
Oh, boy.
And then, like, the supervisor that you have, and then, like, maybe a co-supervisor, and then your other co-workers are all
like,
in
I don't got time for it.
all in a message, and you just leave.
I dare you. So-and-so has exited the group. I was like, yo, you can do that? So the first time, I was like, clearly it was a mistake.
Yo.
Third time, I was like, I'm going to start doing it too.
Third
time, I'm going to start doing it too.
That's
Exit.
crazy.
Leave me alone. Email me. My office hours are from.
My office hours is crazy.
Oh, boy, that's so great. I don't know how I got there. Sorry that I knocked this off course.
This is a wild place to work at times, folks. I do not know what to say other than that. Holy cow. All right, AFC. As Brian mentioned earlier, I have said many a time on the show, if you listen, we appreciate it. But I've said multiple times that it felt like the Chiefs and the Eagles were going to be back in the Super Bowl after this whole football thing. I was dead wrong about the Eagles. I may still be right about the Kansas City Chiefs, who will go to Baltimore on the road. Last week, the first road game in the playoffs for Patrick Mahomes outside of the Super Bowl, which is neutral site. And they got it done against the Buffalo Bills team that not only Brian Middleton, but a lot of people thought had an opportunity and maybe a good chance to win the Super Bowl because of when they hit their stride in the season. And against all odds, the Chiefs, as underdogs, get it done and are once again in the AFC Championship game. It's incredible, really, if you think about it. This installment of the Chiefs on offense is really not that good. They're really not. They got a guy that runs angry. Not even angry. They got a guy that runs mad as hell all the time at who knows what. The weather. It just looks like everything. And he's been a huge part of what they do. They have one of the most talented humans to ever play the sport at quarterback. They have the best tight end. I don't even think it's a maybe. They have the best tight end that's ever played the sport. And they got Rashee Rice. That's what they got on offense.
I want winners.
They do have those. They have winners. They have winners on their offensive line, their quarterback, their tight end. Their running back's a winner. Like, they do have those guys. And their defense, I will say it for the 9,000th time on this show this year, their defense is good. It's the most impressive part of Kansas City. Go back to when the run started. They couldn't stop us. The Cox Media Group team that's leaving group chats and whatnot, we would have scored. We wouldn't have won, but we would have scored. And now they're stopping everybody. And that's the biggest part of what has changed with Kansas City. They've lost a Tyreek Hill. They lost a Juju Smith-Schuster, which I know doesn't sound like much, but he got held at the right time last year and was like a 1,000-yard receiver.
Okay.
But they've lost pieces. What they haven't is their defense has continued to build up. They get a deal done with a guy like Chris Jones, who they thought they might be losing. Those linebackers are unbelievable. The corners are playing well. And that defense is good. The Ravens are, again, maybe the closest thing to complete in the sport. Their defense at all levels is good. They have the MVP at quarterback, the ultimate weapon in Lamar Jackson. The wide receivers have talent. It hasn't always been perfect. They've made plays when they've needed to. They could do more. Maybe they will in this football game. Mark Andrews, it looks like is coming back, but Isaiah Likely looks pretty good. It's a great matchup. It's an unbelievable matchup. Who do you think wins it, Brian?
Baltimore is the best team in the sport.
Okay.
Baltimore is head and shoulders the best team in the sport via the regular season.
Oh, I know what you're doing.
Lamar Jackson. This is the thing that we said, and by we, I just mean me.
Okay.
I've said since he's come into the league, it's video game. And in the video game, when you have a guy who can run like this, like 04 Vic on Madden, but even faster, a bit more shiftier. The problem is, will he stop himself versus will the defense stop him? Lamar Jackson's maturation process, on top of the fact that he is happy because his future is pretty much set with this new money, on top of the fact that they didn't just build the offense around him and his running ability in that RPO type style. They brought in some more tools besides Mark Andrews, besides the fact that the run game, a lot of it having to do with the fact that Lamar Jackson can get you a huge chunk of yardage game in or game out, is leading the league. If you can't touch him, if you can't get him to the ground, if he can extend plays, which he's done basically all season, unless you're Pittsburgh, the crazy thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wild.
They cannot be beat. If he is able to extend plays, they won't lose this game. It's the same way you look at Patrick Mahomes. He's nearly down time after time after time. He extended the play.
Mm-hmm.
Which quarterback can extend more plays? Because defensively, both of these teams are going to be able to get after the quarterback. Granted, both teams have good offensive lines, but there's going to be some pressure there. So which quarterback can extend plays more? It's a stat that I'm sure some super analytic, person has a formula for, I guess, playtime extension or something like that. But I am telling you right now, as someone who has watched Lamar Jackson in person over multiple seasons, and even in watching that Jags game where Trent Baalke was right, 2.5 quarters, very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Until the run game started, until they couldn't get Lamar Jackson down on third downs.
Until they stopped playing with him.
You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see what Baltimore can be. So that being said,
oh boy,
I'm going to go with Baltimore because I think that the lights won't be too bright. I don't think that the mystique of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, I don't think that's going to be too much, especially being at home.
Now. Add Jason Kelce now. He'll be there.
Nah, I might be a bit too much. Okay, you got both the Kelce brothers right there. Okay, but I feel like Baltimore, on top of the fact that you named all of those players, it's not too much for the head coach. Head coach can look at Andy Reid and be like, "I've been here too, brother.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't
a lot less though.
A lot less, but I still know what it takes. Don't. And you, hey, listen, I don't know. Yeah, you were in the AFC when I had to go win my stuff too. So like none of this. We're not frightened. We're at home. Things of that nature. So I'm gonna go with Baltimore. But there's a very real chance in 3 weeks.
I was right.
Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP. I'm going to be like, doggone it. Doggone it.
It's possible. Here's the thing, Brian.
Like 53-something, man. We'll figure it out. It's like 53-something.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. Here's the thing. All of the pressure, as it is on San Francisco, it's on Baltimore.
That's the crazy part. How is Kansas City the only team playing with house money?
All of the house money. They could lose 56-0 and nobody's getting fired. No, they're good.
Somebody getting fired.
No.
A wide receiver, somebody somewhere.
Players, yeah, but coaches?
Yeah, no.
Nobody's getting fired. They might show up at the airport for him. Because the fans know this team ain't that good. But they got to this point, and the pressure is on the team at home. The pressure is on the guy who needs to win in the playoffs. He did it last week in Lamar Jackson, and he was the main show. This is a different show. This one's on at a different time. This one isn't against the upstart Houston Texans. This one's against the team and the people that dominate this conference. And I don't really understand it, but the Chiefs are going to win. They are going to win the football game.
Is there any part of you at this point now, some people get Chiefs fatigue, and I get that, but is there any part of you, because there is a part of me, I am now over the hill where I'm just like, how far can Kansas City, this iteration of them, push it? Like, I kind of want to see them, all right, How many Super Bowls can you stack? How many AFC Championship games can you get to? Like, I'm not tired of them in that way. Is any of that playing into you, like, thinking, like, they're going to win this game? Or it's just like, no, I think they're just going to figure a way?
One, I'm sick of them.
Oh, you are sick of them?
I'm sick of them. But it does get to a point where the Jags aren't in it. So, it is what it is there. If they get to this Super Bowl, it's the most impressive thing they've done. They're not that good on offense.
He ain't have no ankle for the Super Bowl.
I
know. I don't know about that one now.
But that wasn't impressive. They lost 2.5 quarters that Super Bowl and won the game. Like, they don't lose. They don't die. Like, it doesn't matter. One ankle, no ankles, Tyreek Hill,
Eric Bieniemy.
It don't matter. It does not matter. That's why. So I pick them even though they're the worst team of the two because they don't die. And someone's going to have to kill them for them to die.
Yo, it's got dark at the very end, man. Appreciate you.
I don't know if that's going to happen. So I've got the Chiefs. I've got the Lions. I've got the underdogs.
OT curse on Detroit. Can't wait to play it on Monday.
Oh, no.
Can't wait to play it on Monday.
That does not happen. Brian has the Ravens and the Lions. Well, we'll see what happens. You can hear the games right here on ESPN 690. Fun week planned next week. Fun week planned. I'm serious. Good week planned. Already have guests scheduled to join us next week. Should be fun. Join us then. For Brian Middleton, I'm Kasey Kuhrts. Have a great weekend. I want to eat a spicy chicken in my Tesla. Is it too much to ask?
Start your year off stress-free and sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Hi, this is Mark Spain, and our offers are the strongest in